First of all, I give all honor and praise to the God of Abraham, the God of Isaac, the God of Jacob, the great, mighty, revered God, the Most High God, who bestows loving kindness, possesses all things, who remembers the pious deeds of the patriarchs, the Most High, slow of anger, great in kindness, forgiving iniquity and transgressions, but who will by no means clear the guilty, visiting iniquities of fathers upon children to the third and fourth generation. The Most High's work is perfect, for all his ways of justice, the God of faithfulness, and without iniquity, just and right is he. General. Giving due respect and honor to a head in Israel, Chief Eleazar, to the chiefmen, princes, brothers and sisters. I said, mother in Israel, I say unto you the tongue of my forefathers, Shabbat Shalom.
Shabbat Shalom.
Another day that ought to be revered, respected, and honored. Another day. And like I always say every week, the Most High held this day, which is the Sabbath day, in very high regards. High regards, the Most High held this day, very high regards. Very high regards. So being that he held the day in very high regards, he told us what to do on the day, what we can do, what we can do, and what there are things that we can't do on this day. And when we do the things that God tells us not to do on the day, we profane it. He's not gonna change. He's not gonna change his ways, his laws, his commandments to suit you or to suit me. He said, we serve a God that don't change. He said, we serve a God that don't change. Therefore, ye sons of Jacob are not consumed. That's the only reason why God didn't consume the nation of Israel, because we're dealing with a God that don't change. We're dealing with a God that don't change. Now, this here, my father, because I was a kid back in Benin, so I don't remember none of that. Nothing that went down or what was said. But I remember my father, he said the law is like a two-edged sword. It cuts everybody. Once we are not perfect and upright with God, it cuts. Now, my duty for me, I can't, here's something. It's a turn down. You can't, this is for me. I can't allow you or pressure you to come into a field or a certain type of mindset if you ain't ready for it. But this is for me. And I take this as medicine. Medicine. Why? Because I'm messing up. And the only way of the healing process can begin is when you accept your fault with God. That's who I offend first. I offend God first. Because these are his laws. These are his laws, his commandments, his precepts, his statutes, his laws. And I have to order my life and direct my life around this, into this. I can't, that's it. There's no other way around it. So if I'm not able to fulfill certain laws or commandments, guess what? I have to it's called for sacrifice. It's called for changing certain things. I have to tweak this over here and tweak that over here, because only the righteous, a man that have his mind made up, will be committed to God. I had that conversation with my brother Mala. I said, and it goes hand in hand. You're not going to sacrifice yourself for God if you're not committed. You got to have a certain some type of commitment towards God to sacrifice yourself for God. Now, now when you're sacrificing yourself towards God, guess who sacrificed? Guess who's the sacrifice? You. Me. I become the sacrifice. Because I sacrifice my own feelings, my own thoughts, how I feel, my emotion, how I feel goes out the window, all for the sake of the keeping of the commandments of God. Now, when we had decided to keep the laws and the commandments of God, because the reason why you didn't detour and turn away from God is because we all have a little determination to serve him. This is why we are not in the church. But some have more determination than some. And that is what triggers off actions. The amount of determination this man have will trigger off certain actions towards God. Then this guy here, he got determination to serve God, but he don't have the amount of determination that this man had. So it triggers off different actions and different movements. Some is going to push more than some. Some is going to push more than some. Now, we're going to go into the law. I'm going a little bit into the law. And why I'm going to go into Leviticus 18? Because, see, the Most High opened your eyes to certain things, and he used certain people to open your eyes to certain things. So I came in the house one day, and I see my brother Malak come in the house. He don't even know why he had that spirit on him. But he had a spirit on him, and God must have put the spirit on him. Well, an angry spirit at that. Ain't nobody did nothing to him. He just came in with an angry spirit and started throwing things out. Right? He threw out the sneakers. The name of the sneakers that he threw out, Israelites wears it. So he came, I asked him, he said, yo, why you throwing this out? He said, man, Yeezys. He said, man, I'm throwing this out, man. He said, this is no good. He said, no. I said, listening to him. I ain't argue or debate. You know why? Because in order to learn, you got to be an open vessel. I'm not closed-minded. And I'm not a person that said, well, I would never look at you and say, I'm your. No, I'm not going to do that. And uplift myself. No, I'm down here. And I can learn from anybody. I learn from a child. So the brother came in, and I end up Googling it. Man, Israelites ain't supposed to be wearing no Yeezys. And Yeezys is in commemoration to Jesus Christ.
Yeah. Remember, he a Christian.
The dude on the cross.
He's a Christian. He's a holy Christian.
Okay? Now, we ain't supposed to be wearing that. We ain't supposed to be wearing that. And I didn't find that out, and I didn't know that until he came in with that vicious spirit, throwing things out. So I'm like, the first thing I said, man, thoughts came out. I said, man, why is he throwing that out? I said, but I shut my mouth and left it alone and went into what I was had to go to. And that's why. So it's two things that we're not supposed to be wearing. There are things that we are not. True religion has the image of Buddha on his clothes. We don't wear true religions. You're not supposed to be wearing Nikes because Nikes, the swoosh represents a Greek goddess called Pegasus. Okay? Yeezys represents JC. So if we are about God, if we are about God and about his laws and his commandments and his statutes, then one thing we have to stay out of is fashion. The fashion of the heathens. We have our own fashion. Why do you think the wrath of God broke loose amongst the camp of Israel during the time of Achan and Joshua? Because Achan went, snatched up the wedge of gold in the Babylonian garment. Now people say, oh, the Babylonian garment had an image on it. Who told you the Babylonian garment had an image? It don't say that.
That's right.
Who told you that? Where you get this from? But you know why people say things like that? Because they want to substantiate. They want to substantiate their dress wear. Or this is not a Babylon or a clothing. This ain't cursed. It has to have an image on it. Of that. Where you read that at? Where? That's our problem. That is our problem. Number one problem. We want to twist and turn the book to fit your lifestyle. Because you don't have the determination to do away with certain things. You twist the book to make it okay to do this or to do that over there.
You want it to be accepted.
So that it could be accepted, not in God's eyes, in your eyes. And then you want people to accept it.
Right.
And then you want people to accept it.
Leading them astray.
No. Leading the people astray. Leading the blind astray. Putting the stumbling block before the blind. That word stumbling block, it means mikshol. Mikshol means to cause the people to fall into waywardness. To cause the people to fall into iniquity. By teaching them and telling them the wrong things that you ain't read here in the book. Things that I never read here in the book. I hear Israelites talking about it. I hear Israelites talking about it. Uplifting it. Because, listen, let's go on. Let me read what I was going to go into. You go to Exodus 22. I'm going to read a bit. I'm going to read this. Okay? It said, the Lord spake unto Moses, saying, right? Speak unto the children of Israel and say unto them, I am the Lord your God. Realize one thing. When God was, look, that's why God reacted that way with Moses, man, because Moses was a special dude, man, before God. Most faithful in all my house. Most faithful in all God's house. He said, man, he said, when I speak to this guy here, he said, I don't speak to him in dreams and riddles and visions. He said, man, when I got something for the nation, I go through Moses first. And Moses reiterated to the people. He said, I speak to this guy face to face. He said, and the appearance of God he beheld. He saw my appearance. God took him, put him in the cleft of the rock. Moved his hand and passed by him, and that's when Moses saw God's back parts. He said, you, Aaron, and you, Miriam, y'all wasn't afraid to talk against my servant Moses? You wasn't afraid, man. Then the cloudy pillar, it was a very thick cloud. I'm going to give you a little piece. I'm going to give you a small little piece. It was a cloud mass of theophanic. We're going to go into that later in Nehemiah 9. All right? I ain't going to give away the lesson. Cloudy. Now, that cloudy pillar was holding what? The glory of God was inside that cloud. Cloud came down from heaven. Once that cloud came, look, could you imagine a host of people, a nation of people? Next thing, the cloud. When that cloud dropped and went in front of that tabernacle, everything stopped. Everybody at the tabernacle, at the entrance, and they seeing this. They said, uh-oh, something is going on. God don't come down like this if nothing ain't going on. Everybody distilled and at the, like, man, let's stand back and see what's going on here. Somebody did something to bring the appearance of God. That's why the Most High says, listen. He said, I walk amongst you, O Israel. I walk amongst you, O Israel. He said, so when you ease yourself, make sure you cover it. Go outside of the camp. Make sure you cover it because I walk among you. And if I see this uncleanness in you, She said, my wrath gonna break forth.
That's right.
You know what that means? Do we have a knowledge of what that means? This is why when you pray, when you're praying, I have a cat. And the cat box has stool in it. When I pray, the bathroom door closes. That have to close. All rooms that are used to ease yourself must close. Because we are, all right? Now, let me read this for you. He said, after the doings, right? After the doings, and the word for doings is kemaaseh, right? Kemaaseh come from the word maaseh. Maaseh goes into practices, because anything you practice becomes perfect. Anything you practice becomes habitual. How do you expect the laws of God to become habitual if I'm not working, if I'm not doing it? I have to do it for it to become a part of me. I can't sit here and not complain and make up excuses for myself, telling myself that I'm not ready for that law yet. Well, God ain't ready to wake you up today. How about that? How about you tell you, well, I'm not ready to wake you up today. I'm going to leave you sleep. You can stay sleeping. You stay sleeping, and you go off into that. That's it. So, how do I become ready to do the things that is lawful and right by God? All right, as far as uncleanness, nowhere in the book stated that the chair remains unclean. The chair becomes right. The chair, all right, when a woman is on her menstruation, right, she's on her period, and the woman sits on that chair or on a particular chair, the chair becomes unclean. Whosoever sits or touches the chair becomes unclean. Now, I have to wash my clothes and I have to bathe my flesh in water. When evening coming, then I will be clean. That chair is to her separation. The chair don't become clean when she becomes clean. So how do I prepare myself to do that? Number one, I have to buy me a new bed. I have to buy me a new bed so that when I sit on that bed, when I decide to come out, when I go in the shower and come out and I sit on that bed, I don't become clean again. Get me a new chair so that when I sit in the chair, I don't become unclean again. So we have separate chairs and separate beddings so that when a woman becomes unclean, she is separated.
That's the chair she is.
She is separated. She can't sit all over the house.
That's right.
You cannot lay all over the house because you're going to make whatever you lay on or sit on unclean, and it doesn't get back clean. It stays that way. It remains that way. It's for her purpose, for her use.
That's what it's
When you're seeking God, to seek, one of the ways of seeking God is reading. That's one of the ways of saying, to tell you the truth, that's the only way.
Everybody else
Gotta read.
teaches.
Because we don't have prophets to inquire. We don't have a priest to inquire because we fell so low from God that God took them away. We killed off our own priests and prophets. God took them from us. Yeah, God took them from us. Cast us out, spit us out, dispersed us. But one thing was held. I don't know the correct word. Was this book. God made sure he held this book for proof so that we could read. We ain't totally forgotten. Still got a chance. If you change your ways. That's what we read throughout the whole. God kept saying, he said, man, amend your ways, O Israel. Your ways are not the commandments. Your ways and the commandments are two different things. So now your ways goes according to how you are. That's what your ways goes according. So there is a way that God wants us. And by me or by you or us keeping the commandments, it will help you clean your ways up. Like one of my chapters in Exodus 23, which I'm going into after this, it says, he said, thou shalt not raise a false report. Those are commandments. Now, that commandment, by me adhering and taking heed to that commandment, will allow me to not assume. I won't assume. I won't make assumption. I won't accuse. If I ain't got no proof. We make assumption, accusation, and we act like I know how you feel. Ain't that a bad mamma jamma? Like, man, that's a bad motorcycle. That's a bad motorcycle, Prince Reuben. That's a bad motorcycle. He stomped his foot and turned. That's a bad motorcycle. I don't know how you feel until you come to me, man. And I don't know, and you ain't gonna know, I ain't gonna know how you feel till I come to you. But that's levels and laws and commandments and statutes. Not everybody, look, man. All right, okay. Now, let me dig into this. Kema say him, right? Practice, I went into that. A tradition also means tradition. It means an inherited pattern of thought. I can curve my children's thoughts now. I can curve my children's thoughts now. What am I using to curve my children's thought, to give them that pattern of thought? The book. I sit them down, and I was telling that to my brother Abraham. I said, man, right now the children are sponges. Pick up the book and explain it on their level. First chapter, go through it with them. Second chapter, go through it with them. We ain't going to history. We ain't going to no history. We ain't going to no Psalms. We ain't going to no Proverbs. Verse 5, I'm going to stay in. And that's what I've been doing. And by me doing that, the children had questions. Believe it or not, it's going to stick. It's going to stick because they're sucking in. God told us to do that. It's the reason why God said Mishneh started by oral repetition. Let's go over this over and over and over and over. Because it got to stick. It's going to stick. It's going to stick. So we go over these laws with the children so that it could be an inherited pattern of thought. Another definition is the handing down of information. Handing down of information, beliefs, and customs. If you didn't believe it, you ain't going to speak it. If you don't believe it, that's not going to be your conversation. If it ain't your custom, that's not going to be your conversation. The other definition for ma'aseh is your doings. The things that I do. Are my deeds righteously done? Or the things that I'm doing, am I right? Are you able to perceive and understand and accept your faults and perceive and say, well, I was wrong? Because if you don't accept that you was wrong, you must think you was right doing what you did. You know, that's why God always had a problem with the nation of Israel. Because we refuse to acknowledge our faults before God. We refuse to acknowledge our faults with God, man. We walk around wrong and strong, stubborn, cold-hearted, stubborn, and a cold-hearted people. God said, man, these people here, He said, I'm going to remove this type of heart, that cold heart from you, that stony heart you got. And I'm going to give you a heart of flesh. What gives you a heart of flesh? How can I maintain or get a heart of flesh? The book. This gives me a heart of flesh. Okay? Now, because the laws of God teaches me how to regard others. Not disregard, but how to regard others. So if I regard you, I won't accuse you. If I regard you, I won't steal from you. If I regard you, I won't sneak up through your window to sleep with your wife. If I regard you, I won't violate you. That's the nitty-gritty right there. And people that cannot regard others can't do the laws and the commandments of God. You can't. You can't. If you can't regard me and I can't regard you, we can't do these laws. Number one, in order to do these laws, commandments, and statutes, we have to regard each other. That's what the law is about. He said, God said, I gave you laws, commandments, and statutes concerning your neighbor. Concerning your neighbor, which means these laws tell us how to treat each other. If you can't do that, you can't do God's law. You can't do this. Can't. The other definition is business. Right? Right? Business goes into your affairs. Affairs. Even a regular business or store is your affairs. Still, your affairs. Right? When you look into affairs, it goes into your concerns. When you look into concerns, it means to relate to. Now, whatever you relate to is your connection. What is your connection? Your connection, whatever you're connected to, is what you're joined by, what you're binded to. And what God said, how I revert all the way back, he said, ye shall cleave unto the Lord thy God. Cleave to God, join God, be attached to God. How do we join and be attached to God? Is by taking heed to his laws, commandments, and statutes. There be days where, look, there be some days, man, that I don't feel like reading. And I go a day or two, and I snap out of it. The third day, I said, man, let me pick this book up and read. Because it's a constant battle with yourself. God, the creator, already told you. Ezra said it already. He said the grain of evil seed was sown in the heart of man since the day he ate from the tree of knowledge of good and evil. That's the fight. We all have evil in us that we need to conquer. We all have evil in us that we need to smash. The only way to conquer the evil that we have in us, I have to grab a hold of the strength of God. Most I say, man, grab hold of my strength. That's some gangster stuff right there. He said, man, listen, grab hold of my strength. And he walk off and sway off in that long, white, blinding white road. Willie, man, listen, man. Man, listen, man. Man, listen, man. He said, grab hold of my strength. Can't grab, look, man. Okay. Goes into action, goes into deeds, goes into tradition and celebrations. Now, and also events. But before I say celebration, it goes into events. When I look up events, it says social occasion or activity. What is social occasions? Their celebrations, their ceremonies, their celebrations, New Year's celebration, birthdays, Thanksgiving. All right? And by the way, Thanksgiving is a pagan holiday, man. I went up in the store to get me some dog, some fish. So the Jewish man, I come in to get the fish. The dude know how I live. You see my fringes. You see how I live, and you know I'm a Hebrew. But he got the nerve to ask me about turkey. He said, so how's your turkey? You going to get your turkey? I said, oh. I said, where in the Tanakh you read where our forefathers celebrated Thanksgiving? He said, well, it's just a different things. I said, where in the book did you read where our forefathers celebrated this? He kept venturing off, pulling away. Pulling away. I said, man, he ain't got an answer. I went off again. I said, this is the reason why God scattered us and dispersed us all over. Because we always wanted to follow the neighboring nations that was amongst us. We always wanted to follow the people that we lived amongst. This is why we are in the predicament we are in now. A lot of people got a lot of questions, and I'm answering them today. Today they're going to get answered. Today they're going to get answered. Today they're going to get answered. We follow the ways, the customs, their traditions, their practices, and their morals, the way they behave. We even think like them. We even think like them.
Have the same point of view.
We cannot serve God with this type of train of thought. We can't serve this holy God with this type of train of thought, man. Can't serve God with that type of thought. Because a heathenistic mentality, those are froward thoughts that separate you from God. I don't want to be separated. Not me. And I ain't perfect. I sin and I violate and I transgress. But I tell you one thing, I'm better than you, John. I'm better than them. I'm better than the men outside. I tell you that. Yeah. What God told what the angel told Ezra. He said, man, stop coupling yourself and comparing yourself and putting yourself in with these people. He said, you ain't like them. My father said that too. He said, man, listen, I ain't like them. He said, not me. I'm different. He said, I ain't putting myself with these heathens. Not me. I'm not in the same category with them. And you ain't neither. Because you know who the true and living God is. We ain't the same. I'm not the same. And we got to keep telling ourselves those type of thoughts, those traits. Keep that train of thought so that by me telling myself I'm not the same, it's going to start to show forth in my actions. It's going to start to show forth. And why you think the man, listen, man, the man told himself he ain't the same so many years that the man changed his diet, changed his dress wear. He said, man, I changed his thought pattern. He said, man, I don't want to. I said, it was a point in time. He said, look, he said, man, I ain't in no posture. He said, I never read that in the book. He will change everything. Why? Because he kept telling himself and he had that mind frame that he is different. See, in order to be different, you got to look at yourself as different. You have to look at yourself as different to be different. You don't look at yourself different, you're going to be compared to the people that you see out here. All right? Now, social occasions or activities, right? A social activity is anything that bring people together to interact. A gathering. And guess what? I'm a hearken to what my father said. You know what he said? He said, and that falls under what? Movie theaters.
Yeah.
I'm gonna say, man, I don't go to the movies because I ain't like them. And I don't know nobody that reached that peak that my father was at, and he's still peaking. I don't see nobody at that peak that ever reached the peak that he reached. It'd be wise and it behooves you to follow that course. We got to realize something, man. Our forefathers paved the way. Then after our forefathers is who? My father, your father, our father, my father paved the way and showed us the way to righteousness. Because guess what? I needed my father. It's because of my father why I have this train of thought. It's because of my father why I move the way I move. Because I continuously keep his teachings here. I remember everything he said. Everything. And I try to move in that manner. My father. I wouldn't have known who God is if it wasn't for him. I would not have known who God is if it wasn't for that man. Wouldn't. No, I wouldn't. And it goes vice versa. Your children ain't gonna know who God is if it wasn't for you.
That's the only one that will get it.
That's it. He said, after the doings of the land of Egypt, wherein ye dwell, shall ye not do. And after the doings of the land of Canaan, whither I bring you, shall ye not do. Neither shall ye walk in their ordinances. How simple how simple is this? You know what their ordinances and their doings, their celebrations? What in the world are we doing having a new year? What are we doing with a new year? I never read in here where it says the new year. You could tell me and explain to me all about it, about the secular calendar. And we had two. Okay, all that is peachy. But I didn't read where we have a new year. I read where it says the beginning of months.
That's it. You start counting from here.
That's it. Why are we like to couple God's ways with the heathens?
That's the problem.
Why? Because we have not fully left off. We have not fully left off from our past. We have not fully left off from that heathenistic customs. And that's why, look, man. He said, ye shall do my judgments and keep my ordinances to walk therein. I am the Lord your God. You shall therefore keep my statutes and my judgments, which if a man do, he shall live in them. You know what live in them? Rekai by him. Rekai by him. He shall live because of them.
He's gonna live.
See, when you read it in the Hebrew, it takes you clear. It goes deeper. He said, you should not live in them. He said, this is the reason why you will live. But in order to live, we gotta die.
Make it clear.
But in order to live, we must die because we violated the command. We violated God's command. God gave us strict commands and said, listen, the tree that's in the midst of the garden, do not eat from it and don't touch it. In the day that you eat from it, he said, thou shalt surely die. And he left them. Which means he gave us a command. God show you the laws. He gives you commandments, but he don't force you. He leave you to yourself so that you can choose this on your own. So that you can make that good choice, that righteous choice, and choose God on your own. Choose him on your own. Don't force. You don't want to live this way? Listen, God don't look. You don't want to do this? The door is there. You ain't got to do this. You ain't got to have nothing to do with this. God gave us all the choice. He said, you choose. He said, life or death, good or evil. He said, but choose life so that thou and thy seed may live. Come on, man. Okay, let's go to Exodus. Let's go to Exodus chapter 22. Let's go to Exodus chapter 22. Right?
Exodus chapter 22.
Right.
If a man shall steal an ox
If a man shall steal an ox,
or a sheep,
did we ever read of anybody stealing someone else's ox? Never. I never read where Joab ran into the field of Ahisamach and stole the man's gold.
Grabbed a little lamb.
Never read where Joshua ran into this one's field and stole what belonged. Never read that. You know why? Because they wasn't thieves. Our forefathers wasn't thieves. They wasn't deceivers. They wasn't liars. They didn't get down that way. We have a certain manner and a certain custom that is that God hates, that is against God, that our forefathers never got down that way. Never had that mind frame. And this is why God looked at these people and said, my saints. Because to be the saint, to be called a saint of God, it takes a certain pattern of thought. You got to be a certain way. It takes a pattern of thought. It takes certain deeds, certain things, like certain certain things they just not gonna do naturally. And that's why God called these people saints. We trying to crash the party. I gotta crash that party. We gotta crash the party to be elected and chosen of God, so that God can choose you. Because I read in the book where God said, he said, man, listen, I don't want nothing to do with you with the nation of Israel, until the nation of Israel acknowledge their offense. Until my people acknowledge their offense. And when you acknowledge the offense, when you acknowledge that you was wrong, then and only then you will do better. It will cause changes. But we have to do, in order for God, we got to do better, man. And the first way of doing better, I have to acknowledge and say and accept that I'm sick and I need medicine. I'm sick. You don't acknowledge that you're sick, then you ain't going to do better. You is not going to do no better. You're not going to take the medicine. He said, if a man steal an ox or a sheep and kill it. Now, I done went, stole the man's sheep, and I got the nerve to kill it and eat it like it was mine. Ain't that how? That's the mentality. That's not the mentality of our forefathers, but that's the mentality of the people today. It's not theirs, and they treat it as if it was theirs. It don't belong to them. Why do we have this type of why do we think this way? And because we think and we move that way is what caused God to separate himself from you. Because those are called forward thoughts. And those type of thoughts, forward thoughts, are thoughts that are against God. And when you have those forward thoughts, it separates you from God. And if God is separated from you, do you think I'm going to get towards righteousness without God? No, I need God to show me the way. Tom Sheep.
Or sell it, he shall restore 5 oxen for an oxen.
The man done stole the sheep, stole the ox. Either he killed it or he sold it to make merch, to make money off of someone else's ox. He said, okay, you done stole the man's ox and sold it. Now you got to give me what? 5 oxen for an ox and 4 sheep for a sheep. And then the crazy thing is the mentality of people, they want you to accept it too. Oh, you want to accept it? Well, but I don't have it right now. And he talking to you in such tone. I don't have it right now. What do you want me to do? So mind-boggling. You look at the brother. I said, "What? Well, I be down."
Sometimes he say you ain't getting.
He said, "Man, you don't got it," and he got the nerve to say it in such hard voice. But you done ran up on my field and took my goat. Now it's time to pay back. He don't want to pay back. Our forefathers wasn't like that. They wasn't like that. The mentality of people, that is the mentality of people today. That's men and women's mentality today. That's why God is so far away. You ain't got it to pay back, brother. You're going to work this off. Oh, it's time to work it off. Go ahead, read.
If a thief be found breaking up, and he be smitten that he died.
If a thief be found breaking up, the man done broke into your house and
be smitten.
And now he got caught.
And he died.
He got caught a bad one, bad blow. Now he's dead. Because I'm going to tell you like this.
It happens today.
I come in my house and it's a stranger or an alien or stranger that's in my house that don't, my first reaction is not to call the cops. Or you going to get hurt. You going to get hurt. Call the cops. I ain't got no time to be calling no police. Call police. My life is in danger.
Now.
You want me to say, all right, I'll take what you want to get. I'm going to call the cops. You out your mind. And then when you call him after he got away, you call the cops. Well, it was a guy here that ran through my house and robbed him. He said, knows the question? It's all games. Where is the guy? Well, he got away. Well, we can't do nothing about it. Well, when I try to do something about it, you lock me up for doing something about it. So it's all a game to get both of you in prison.
That's correct.
You going to jail for breaking in his house. Oh, sir, get your hands behind your back, sir. But wait a minute, officer. I'm protecting my family. Oh, you're going to jail, sir. What? After the man done broke into your house and you smite him, hit him with a bad blow, you going to jail too. So it's all a game. You gotta kill him. It's all a game. Tom Sheep.
If the sun be risen upon him, there shall be blood shed for him.
If the sun be risen upon him, there shall be blood shed for him, which means the dude done got away. He done got away, right? And he got away. The sun that's risen, I can't do nothing to him now. It says, shall be blood shed for him. The only thing that must be done, read.
He shall be full restitution.
Full restitution. You got to restore everything that you done took. Full restitution.
If he have nothing, then he shall
He has nothing, then he got to be sold for his death. Remind me of a woman where her husband was in debt. He had sons.
He died.
The husband died. You know what the law? Guess what? You didn't read that in the law. You didn't read that in the law, but you read it in the prophecy. The prophecy also teaches you the ways of God. That's called the ways of God. So you're my father. My father is in debt. My father dies in debt. Guess what would be the rightful thing to do? The son take up the debt and make sure the debt gets paid. That's the ways of God. That's the ways of God. And when the debt wasn't paid, the dude that was coming to collect came and said, man, I'm taking these guys to be serviced so you can work the debt off. She went and cried to the prophet Elisha. Elisha, was it Elisha or Elijah? Elisha. Elisha said, all right. Elisha ain't stepped to them and said, no, leave that one. No. Because Elisha know right from wrong. They ain't doing nothing wrong. I can't stand against these men after they're in the right. So he said, all right, woman. He said, go on and get you some vessels. Don't bring a little bit, bring a lot. Had a little bit of oil. That was the miracle of God.
That's right.
He took that oil, that little bit of oil, and filled up every vessel. And it didn't run out.
The more she poured,
The more it keep coming. Didn't run out.
He said, bring many vessels.
Bring many.
He said, borrow from your neighbors. Bring many vessels.
Tom Street.
If the death be certainly found
Uh-huh.
in his hand alive, whether it be ox or ass or sheep, he shall restore double.
Restore it double. The dude get caught with the ox that's alive, he got to restore it double. He ain't got to restore 5 ox and 4 ox because it was alive and now caught in his hands. Right? He said, if a man shall cause a field or a vineyard to be eaten, and shall put in his beast and shall feed in another man's field, that is something else. You have a field, but I take my beast and let him off in that man's field to eat up his produce and eat whatever he got there. That's a person that's only for himself.
Save his field.
I said, that's a person that's only for himself. Again, you cannot do the laws and the commandments of God being selfish. Can't. No way you could do laws, the commandments, no way being selfish. I always got to think about others. And in return, you're supposed to think about me. Now, sometimes it's one-sided. I may consider you, but this guy here is his choice whether to consider you. And just because he don't consider you means I'm going to stop considering. Because now it puts me in the same bracket as you.
It's your praise.
So now we got to start separating now. Let's the righteous or the person that have a little righteous or a person that thinks that way that will consider you becomes a prey. Nobody wants to be around no one that's
Oppressed.
no, not
Taking
oppressed. That's taken advantage of, or you not being considered when you are being considered, but you don't want to return the favor. Tom Sheep.
And shall feed in another man's field,
Uh-huh.
of the best of his own field, and of the best of his own vineyard shall he make restitution.
Shall he make restitution? I got to restore it.
If
Read.
fire break out and catch in thorns, so that the stacks of corn, or the standing corn, or the field be consumed therewith, he that kindled the fire shall surely make restitution.
He that kindled the fire shall surely make restitution. But guess what? I read one place where Absalom called Joab. Called Joab. He said, listen, Joab, he said, man, I want to see my father's face. It take a certain man to go on in his life and not see their father. Just not. And that tells you our mentality, because you have children today that can go years, months, weeks without seeing their father's face. And that tells you, or their mother. And that tells you the mentality of our forefathers. We have a lot of work to do. Okay? We have a lot of work to do with ourselves. Okay? I make it my duty. Get off work. Make sure I see my mom. Make sure I see my pops. I may not be able to see them every day because I have to work late. Gotta work late. I can't go to the hospital every time because I gotta work late. So and I cannot just not work, because then I'm gonna lose my house. I can't pay my bills. I can't. So I have specific days that I go. Sunday, Thursday, Friday. I went Saturday night. So I make sure I go and see my father. You don't know the joy that goes through his heart when he feels that touch. When I come in, Say, hey, Shalom, how about I touch his forehead? The frown goes away and he raises eyebrows. And all. I said, hey, he looking, then he's trying to talk. I said, hey, man, it's me. Hashem, I give him a hug, kiss him. And I just stayed there with him and talk about the book. Saturday night, I went up there and seen him. I said, hey, I said, sunset, I said, we're going to say Minka together. And I rehearsed Minka with him. And he got his eyes open. After I start rehearsing the Minka, when he closes his eyes. And yeah, man. But that was the mentality of our forefathers. And we have to acquire this mentality. We got to read the book, see and learn after their pattern, their ways, their pattern of thought, their actions, and the things that they did, and you have to follow suit. Because why I say that? These people knew the way to get to God. They knew they are the example. They know how to get to God. They know the way to get to God. So who else is the best to follow? Besides the book, my father knew the way to get to God. And I'm not going to detour off or detour towards the left or the right from what he showed me. What he showed me. Now, where is that? Go ahead, read.
6. If fire break out,
and
catching thorns, so that the stacks of corn or the standing corn of the field be consumed therewith, he that kindleth the fire shall surely make restitution.
Yeah, back to what I'm saying. Absalom took foxes. Mm-hmm. Was it fox? No. He told his servant.
He told his servants to set.
He told his servant to set his field on fire.
The foxes were Samson.
And the foxes were Samson. He told his servant, he said, the servants looked at him. He said, man, haven't I commanded you? He said, don't worry about who Joab is. Don't worry about all that. I'm your commander. I'm the dude that you listen to. I'm the prince. He said, go on and set that man thing on fire. He came out then. He definitely came out then. Because Joab wasn't coming out because he wasn't at peace with him. He wasn't feeling Absalom. Right? After he came out, he said, man, wherefore you? What's up, man? Why you lit my field, man? What's up, man? He said, man, I want to see my father's face, man. He said, I want to see my pops. He said, when he took him to his father and his father seen his face, he said, David was comforted. Comforted meaning he was happy. No matter, that's a lesson in itself. Don't worry about what was said and what your father said or what the mom said. Mm-hmm. Don't never stay away. Always come back because guess what? They may not show it, but inside it's a comfort. It's a comfort. Yes. When the father sees his child. Yes. I don't want to see no more. I don't want to see no more. Blah, blah, blah. Next thing the child pop up, you comfort it. Yes. It's a very calm feeling that comes. Yes. Because I found myself angry with my kid, and I told her, I said, you know what? Don't come back. She come back, see me. That talk is out the window. I'm happy I seen the girl. Yeah. I said, come here, baby. Gave her a hug. And that's what parents do. That's what we need to realize. That's how parents move. They're gonna say things out of anger, but when you do pop up and boom, boom, it's a different story, man. It's a different story.
7.
Tamshi.
If a man shall deliver unto his neighbor money or stuff to keep, and if a man what? If a man shall deliver unto his neighbor. Money or stuff to keep. And it be stolen out of the man's house.
Whatever he give you. And it be stolen what?
Out of the man's house. If the thief be found. Let him pay double. If the thief be not found. Then the master of the house shall be brought unto the judges. To see whether he had put his hands to his neighbor's goods.
to check him out and see if he really stole it. If he lied concerning that what he stole, read.
For all manner of trespass, whether it be for ox or ass or sheep or raiment, or for any manner of lost thing, which another challenges to be his. The cause of both parties shall come before the judges, and whom the judges shall condemn, he shall pay double unto his neighbor.
Whoever the judge condemn, he shall pay double to his neighbor. Read.
If a man shall deliver unto his neighbor an ass or an ox or a sheep or any beast to keep, and it die, or be hurt, or be driven away, no man seeing it, then shall an oath of the Lord be between them both, that he hath not put his hand into his neighbor's goods, and the owner of it shall accept thereof, and he shall not make it good.
He said, then shall an oath of the Lord be between them both, right?
That he hath not put his hand unto his neighbor's goods.
That he had not put his hands to his neighbor's goods. So, I gotta give an oath. If I'm not mistaken, in the Hebrew, I don't think it means swear neither. I don't think they gave an oath because of that. I think they did, but I don't have the Hebrew here. But to see if they put his hands to his neighbor's goods or he touched his neighbor's goods. And guess what? I gotta accept it. Because the people here that we read about, they didn't swear constantly. They wasn't a people that always swore. I swear to God. I swear to God. I said, why you keep saying I swear? Why? Why? And now these are the people that they didn't say that. They didn't have to say that. Only certain instances they swore or used an oath. Okay? Now go ahead and read.
And the owner
and we gotta accept it. Because now I can't accept it. I can't accept everybody that swore. Because people swear and lie. People swear and lie. One thing about me, I'm not going to ever swear and put God in it and lie about it. Not me. I'm not doing that, man. I'm too afraid. I am afraid. And this is what makes you different. Because people, the neighboring people that we live amongst will swear. I swear to God. They swear that on their mama grave. They swear on anything and be lying. And be lying straight through their teeth. That's why I always say we are not the same. Well, I can't put we. Because you got Israelites that swear and lie too. I'm not the same. Like them. I'm not swearing and adding God in it and lie. Absolutely not. I would never do that. I never did that. I'm not doing that. Because I know there's a reaction to every action. There is a reaction to everything that is said. There's a reaction to every action, everything that is done. Believe that. Nothing happened for nothing. Every action, there's a reaction. Tom, see?
And if it be stolen from him,
he shall
make restitution unto the owner.
He got to make full restitution to the owner. Tom, see?
If it be torn in pieces, then let him bring it for a witness.
Bring it for witness. You're not going to tell me that my ox was torn in pieces and you can't show me no proof. Now, if you could show me proof that the ox was torn in pieces, now you show me, give me proof, and it's done. It's over with. Tom, see?
And he shall not make good that which was torn.
And
if a man borrow aught of his neighbor and it be hurt or die, the owner thereof being not with it.
If a man borrow anything from his neighbor, will it be what? Hurt or die?
And it be hurt or die, the owner thereof being not with it.
The owner not being with it.
He shall surely make it good.
He shall surely make it good. Because what? I wasn't with it. Yeah. This is something that I done borrowed from my neighbor. I have to make sure that what I borrowed is in good health. That nothing happens to it. Something happened to it, and I ain't there. Read.
He shall surely make it good. But if the owner thereof be with it, he shall not make it good. If it be a higher thing, it came for his hire. And if a man entice a maid that is not betrothed.
Okay, now we get into it. And if a man entice a maid, okay, you know what a maid is? In the Hebrew, the word for maid is a betula. Betula means a virgin. If a man entice a virgin,
that is not betrothed.
And she's not betrothed. She's not engaged. She's not promised to no one. She's a free agent. She's a free agent, right, Tamshi?
And lie with her.
Now she's a virgin. He enticed the woman, and he lies with her. He has sex with her. Read.
He shall surely endow her.
He shall surely endow her to be his wife. Now, what is endow? Endow means to provide or equip gratuitously, right? Or to furnish with an income, right? Yeah. Now, adopt. That's endow. It also means like a dowry.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Now the word dowry, it goes deeper. There is a price to get a virgin. You see, first of all, these laws came from out the mouth of God. You see how God look at virgins? And people look at virgins, want to deflower them and take it for a joke. Now, a dowry, your virginity is something to be held in high regard. The women today are not being taught that. As soon as they get of age, they are ready to let go of their virginity. When this is something that is held in high regards. This is something that is priceless. This is something that man will give everything for. Because she's a virgin. And virgins are precious. It's a good thing to be a virgin. Untouched, unblemished. She don't have different mindsets because she been messing with Tom, Dick, Harry, and Henry. Right? So she have different ways, different mindsets of different men, right? Different mindsets from different men, and then they come to you with the same mindset, expecting the same thing, same situation.
She has been spoiled.
Right. Now, the word dowry. We're going to get into, I got to get it. Okay, there it is. You know what a dowry is? A gift of money or property by a man to or for his bride. In exchange for a bride. So that should tell you how much the virgins was worth. You heard what I said? A gift or a property. You know the amount of shekels that they paid to gain acres of land? He said that they will give that to you for a gift to have your daughter, your virgin daughter. That's why women today is able to go online and sell their virginity for not thousands, hundreds and hundred thousands, millions of dollars for that virginity. A woman did it for $1 million just recently. It came over the news. Got online. Oh, you're going to run into somebody that wants put a virginity on auction. The woman is a millionaire. It's one-shot deal. Man met up with the guy. The guy gave her $1 million and he penetrated her. And that was it. It's only one-shot deal. But that virginity is priceless, man. Man will give up any amount of money for that virginity. And that's why God... You see how God look at a woman that's a virgin. You see how God look at and consider widows. a woman that was married, and her husband died. And she stayed to herself. Fatherless. A fatherless person without a father. In the Hebrew, it says yatum, means unprotected. Unprotected goes deeper. It means that the person that's unprotected don't have a father or a mother. No protection. Right? Now, where am I at? Okay. And if a man entice a maid, and if a man entice a virgin that is not betrothed, she's not engaged, and lie with her, he shall surely endow her to be his wife. If a father utterly refused to give her unto him, why did her father utterly refuse? Because you snuck my daughter. I ain't know nothing about this. So the ways and the customs of our forefathers is, I cannot come into your house, snatch your daughter, go into her, without, and just she's my wife because I penetrated, I went into her, and the father ain't got no. Why the father had so much say so is because you did it without my consent.
It's permission.
I didn't give you her. You snatched her.
Permission.
You got to get permission for me to tell you can have my daughter.
That's the
you
blessing.
Can't just go and take my daughter like
that's
that. And that was the ways and the customs of our forefathers. Nobody lives by these ways and customs. The men nor the woman. The woman know the ways of God, know how God think, and know the custom of our nation. But yet she runs off to go with Jody without the father sanctioning it. Do you think that marriage is going to work? Most of the time, 100% of the time, when a marriage happens like that, it don't work. Now look at the outcome of that marriage. It didn't work because the beginning of it, the way it started, wasn't right. So what makes you think it's gonna work? What makes you think that way? He said, if a father utterly refused to give her unto him, he shall pay money according to the dowry of virgins. Yeah, the father gonna utterly refuse because you done snatched her out of my house. Now you still gotta pay because you took the virginity. Come on up. Pay up, brother. Right?
Thou shalt not suffer a witch to live.
Thou shalt not suffer a witch to live. A witch consists of many different things. A witch divines. A witch does readings. A witch does enchantments. A witch does sorcery. Omens. Does familiar spirits, able to call up a spirit. And what God said. God said, kill them. The witch is not supposed to live. He said, kill him. Tom Sheep.
Whosoever lieth with a beast shall surely be put to death.
And don't we got people today that enjoy sleeping and cohabitating with sheep and oxes and horses, dogs and poodles and cats. A dude won't think twice about cohabitating with a beast. Why? What is wrong with your mentality to even think or have those train of thoughts to cohabitate or have sex with an animal? So now what God said, if a man cohabitate with a beast, he said the man must die and the beast gotta die. Cause I done profaned and I done perverted the beast now. I done perverted the beast. But guess what? And that happened with the nations. This is why God has given us these laws, because the neighboring nations that we lived amongst, they lived that way. That was their custom. The Canaanites specifically did that.
That's what they did. That's how they did.
The Canaanites did that, man. Slept with animals and beasts. Later, that's right. Later on, when you read go into certain history, Greeks
Romans 2.
Romans.
Skypians.
Man, listen. Look. One of the Caesars, you get married before the Caesar. Before you touch your wife, he gonna touch you. You, the man and the woman, and you look around looking for the horse too. Oh, that's your horse? He hitting the horse off too. But that was the custom of these people, and God gave us these laws and taught to differentiate us from the nations that we lived amongst. Now we are not a nation. There ain't no more nation. So now these are laws to differentiate us from the people that we live amongst.
Right.
Tom sheet.
He that sacrificeth unto any God,
save unto
the Lord only, he shall be utterly destroyed.
He shall be utterly destroyed. The sacrifices and the offerings was only dedicated to the Creator, to the Most High God. When you go sacrificing and sending up offerings to deities and idols that are no gods, God said, kill you. He said, you need to go. It's time to go now. See? And this is why most of the sacrifices, when you read in Leviticus 17, it says that the sacrifice, anything that you sacrifice, has to be brought to the entrance of the tabernacle.
Right.
Why is it brought to the entrance of the tabernacle? Because it's dedicated to God. It's dedicated to the Most High.
Thou shalt neither vex a stranger nor oppress him, for ye were strangers in the land of Egypt.
Read it again.
Now thou shalt neither vex a stranger nor oppress him.
Thou shalt neither vex a stranger. Right? A stranger. Right? What verse you at?
21.
He said, thou shalt neither vex or wrong a stranger. Right?
Right.
Now, the word for stranger, that's not it. You gotta get it, right? It's a stranger. This is talking about the stranger that lives among us.
Not outside of Israel.
Not outside of
Israel. That's right.
It wasn't outside of Israel. These are the strange. These laws was for our people, and it was for the strangers that have joined us to serve God. He said, don't vex the stranger and don't oppress him. Okay? Now go ahead and read.
For ye were strangers in the land.
He said, because I want you to remember how it was. You knew how it felt to be a stranger in Egypt. You was mistreated. You was a stranger in Egypt, and the way the Egyptians treated you, it wasn't right. Now, let's go back. Is that true? Is it substantiated or 100% to say that God also looks at how you treat people?
Yes. Oh, yeah. It's big.
It's right here. God also looks at how you treat people of your own. Yeah. That's why God told me, he said, listen, don't wrong the stranger. Don't oppress the stranger. To wrong or to oppress is a certain type of treatment.
Suppress, treat violently.
It's a certain type of treatment. So guess what? God also will frown on you because of those things. That's why these laws covers all aspects, man. All aspects of life, God covered it with these laws. All aspects. And this is why Joshua and Caleb, God said, man, these guys here followed me wholly. They followed me perfect all the way. Because these guys here had everything covered. All aspects, 360, everything was covered. That's what these laws, these commandments covers 360 all around. Tom Sheep.
Thou shalt neither vex a stranger.
Thou shalt neither vex a
stranger. Strangers in the land of Egypt. Ye shall not afflict any widow or fatherless child.
You shall not afflict any widow or fatherless child.
If thou afflict them in any wise.
If you afflict them in any wise.
And they cry at all unto me.
And they cry at all unto me.
I will surely hear their cry.
He said, God said, I'm going to hear their cry. And what happens?
And my wrath shall wax hot.
I'm going to get angry. My wrath going to wax hot. I'm going to get so angry to the point that I'm ready to kill something. And I will kill you with the sword.
And your wives shall be
widows.
And your children fatherless.
And your children fatherless. We have to learn to stop asking God why. The Most High said, God said, he said, man, he said, I kill and I make alive. I wound and I heal. He said, who in the world could be delivered out of my hands? And nobody could escape my hands. He said, go ahead, read.
If thou lend money to any of my people that is poor by thee.
If you lend money to who?
To any of my people.
To any of my people again. Which means we lend and we give to what? My people. Our own. If you want to go against and speak against what you read here, then hey, something wrong with your brain. Because we like to couple and change the book according to your experience and what you went through. Forget about that.
So God tell us who to be generous to.
God tell us who to be generous to, who to lend to. That's what the book said. That's what the book said. Now, I'm going to delve into something else. I wouldn't give the people no money because I'm strengthening the hands of the wicked. But I read one part of the book where God said, he said, if you feed the wicked, he said, I will heap hot coals upon his head. So I won't give you no money. But if you're hungry and you're going to eat it, I'll give you some food. Here, eat it. I'll feed you. Go ahead. Time shoot.
If thou lend money to any of my people that is poor by thee.
That is poor by thee.
Thou shalt not be to him as a usurer. Neither shalt thou lay upon him usury. If thou at all take thy neighbor's raiment to pledge, thou shalt deliver it unto him by that the sun goeth down. But that is his covering only. It is his raiment for his skin. Wherein shall he
sleep? What? When you take your raiments, your neighbor's raiment to pledge, that's for collateral.
You just hold it.
You just hold it until the God pay you back. But guess what? The garments are not don't have that value anymore. I come and give you my garment. I ain't gonna want that garment for no collateral.
You can't take it. No.
Because the person that's giving it to you don't values it.
Right.
He don't value it. I want something of value. I want something of worth.
Flat screen.
Give me that flat screen. Oh, you know what? Give me that stereo. You're going to start like God said, man, listen. When you go on to collect your collateral, you like, don't go in the man's house and try and fetch and pick out what you want to give, what you want to take. He said, stand abroad, stand outside, and let the man give you what he want to give you, and you got to accept it. Okay,
his raiment or whatever you bring.
That's it. You gotta accept it. But I'm telling you, man. Read.
Thou shalt deliver it unto him by that the sun goeth down.
But
the raiment gotta come back.
But before the sun drops,
you gotta bring that raiment back.
I gotta bring the raiment back. I gotta bring the robe back because what?
By the time that the sun goeth down, but that is his covering only. It is his raiment for his skin.
That's his covering only. This is his raiment for his skin.
Wherein shall he sleep?
So what are you going to sleep in? You see what God said? That tells you that our forefathers didn't sleep naked. They didn't sleep in their underwears. They didn't sleep butt naked. They slept in their clothes. Most I say, he said, man, wherein shall he sleep? He said, what is he going to sleep in? And what?
And it shall come to pass.
So it shall come to pass.
He cried unto
when he cry unto me,
that I will hear.
I'm a hearer.
For I am gracious.
For I am gracious. God said, he said, man, I'm a gracious God, man. Only and because God is so gracious, that's why he thinks about others' feelings and how they feel towards certain situations. When people cry out for certain things, God feels it and he hears it. When the nation of Israel was crying out in Egypt, he said, man, it was a bitter cry. I don't know what God heard. He said, but that cry was it was a cry that he ain't hear in a while. That's a type of cry that will cause action in the heavens. A bitter cry. God comes out of his place for a bitter cry. When that cry go up, not just no regular cry, but you cry out in bitterness of soul. Bitterness of soul because of wrongdoing. God comes out of his place for those type of people. Huh?
Abel's blood cry.
Abel, that's right.
That's right. Blood. Cry right. God.
That's right. Read.
Thou shalt not revile the gods.
Thou shalt not revile the gods. What verse we at?
28.
Go ahead. He says, thou shalt not revile the gods.
No
right?
person.
Now, it says, Lo tiqualel nasi. Right? Elohim lo tiqualel. Tiqualel means to curse. Right? Read.
Nor curse the ruler of thy people.
Nor curse the ruler, nor curse a nasi among my people. And people talk junk against the heads and the rulers, against the teachers, and curse them. But they don't give a hoops about the laws and the commandments of God. They're going to do it anyway. Tom C.
Thou shalt not delay to offer the first of thy ripe fruits and of thy liquors. The firstborn of thy sons shalt thou give unto me.
Okay.
Likewise shalt thou do with thine oxen and with thy sheep. 7 days it shall be with his dam. On the 8th day thou shalt give it me. And ye shall be holy men unto me. Neither shall ye eat any flesh that is torn of beasts in the field. You shall cast it to the dogs.
Okay, let's cut that. Let's go to 1 Kings 11. Let's go to 1 Kings chapter 11.
1 Kings.
Got it?
But King Solomon loved many strange women.
But King Solomon loved many strange women. The word for strange is nakriot. It means foreign. Loved many foreign women. Right? Who was the foreign woman? The foreign woman was woman that was from other nations. And God gave us a law and told us not to marry into these women. Because the woman is going to change your heart from serving me. You're going to turn your heart away from serving God. So he gave us a command. He said, don't marry these foreign women. Stay away from them. But Solomon, he married many foreign women, many strange women.
Together with the daughter of Pharaoh.
The daughter of Pharaoh.
Woman of the Moabites.
Woman of the Moabites.
Ammonites. Edomites. Zidonians.
And Hittites. Read.
Of the nations concerning which the Lord said unto the children of Israel, ye shall not go into them.
Don't go into them.
Neither
shall they come in unto you.
For surely they will turn away your heart after their God.
For surely they're going to turn away your heart. After who?
After their God.
After their God. So when it says turn away your heart, with the beginning, understand something. The beginning of turning away from God begins in the mind. It begins here. It begins here. Your thoughts begins to turn away from God, and then you see it in the person's actions. But before I took action towards such a thing, it came here first. Right. Okay, Tom C.
Solomon clave unto these in love.
Solomon joined, clave, was attached to these in love.
And he has 700 wives.
700 wives.
Princesses. And 300 concubines.
Now, why were they called princesses? Every woman wasn't called a princess. These were the women that were daughters of kings. Royalty. He married women of royalty. And that's why they were called princesses. That's what made them princesses. It said 300 concubines.
And his wives turned away his heart.
His wives turned away his heart. Right, read.
For it came to pass, when Solomon was old, that his wives turned away his heart after other gods. And his heart was not perfect with the Lord his God.
He said the wives turned away his heart from God, and his heart was not perfect with God. He wasn't whole. He wasn't complete. As was
the heart of
David, his father. It wasn't the same. You didn't have the same heart that your father had. Read.
For Solomon went after Ashtoreth, the goddess of the Zidonians, and after Milcom, the abomination of the Ammonites. And Solomon did evil in the sight of the Lord, and went not fully after the Lord, as David his father.
He said he went after Ashtoreth and Milcom, the abominations of the goddess of the Sidonians and the abomination of the Amorites. Read. Go ahead.
And Solomon did evil in the sight of the Lord, and went not fully after the Lord, as David his father. Then did Solomon build an high place for Chemosh, the abomination of Moab, in the hill that is before Jerusalem.
He started building houses for the idols, and he built them all in Jerusalem. Go ahead, read.
And for Molech, the abomination of the children of Ammon. And likewise did he for all his strange wives, which burnt incense and sacrifice unto their gods.
And this is why I'm against burning incense in my house. Because the only time we read about burning incense was when was during a sacrifice. When our forefathers was doing the sacrifice, they would burn incense in the temple. Incense was only burned in the temple. Only the priest did that. They didn't burn incense in their house.
Nobody else had incense.
And this is why I don't burn incense in my house at all. Don't burn no incense here, because incense was only used during the sacrifice. Tamshi.
And the Lord was angry with Solomon.
The Lord was angry with Solomon because
his heart was turned from
the Lord. His heart turned from God,
which had appeared unto him twice.
Most High appeared unto him twice. He said, I came to you twice, man. I didn't expect you to turn away from me like that, man. Turning towards these idols and deities of these women. He said, but his heart turned away from God. God got angry at him, Tamshi. Now look, there's a repercussion. There's always a repercussion when God is angry with you. God is gonna go ahead, read. I ain't gonna go ahead, read.
And had commanded him concerning this thing, that he should not go after other gods. But he kept not that which the Lord commanded. Wherefore the Lord said unto Solomon, for as much as this is done of thee, and thou hast not kept my covenant and my statutes, which I commanded thee, I will surely rend the kingdom from thee, and will give it to thy servant. Notwithstanding, in the days I will not do it. In thy days I will not do it, for David thy father's sake.
He said, I ain't gonna rend the kingdom from you now, only for the sake of your father. You only living, and you only going through this, and I'm not gonna rend the kingdom from you because of David, because of that man. And because of a man's righteousness, he can deliver his son. Because of David's righteousness, he delivered his son from God, rending the kingdom from him. So God allowed him to keep the kingdom all the days that he lived until he died. Then when he died, Mosai bust the kingdom in half. Rehoboam got how many?
Rehoboam
Had the 10 tribes. And Jeroboam had
the 10 tribes.
Jeroboam
had Judah.
Right, had Judah. Benjamin, a little bit of Benjamin, I think.
Yeah.
Benjamin.
The Levites.
And the Levites.
Read. Notwithstanding, in thy days I will not do it, for David thy father's sake, but I will rend it out of the hand of thy son. Howbeit, I will not rend away all the kingdom, but will give one tribe to thy son for David my servant's sake, and for Jerusalem's sake, which I have chosen.
Read.
The Lord stirred up an adversary unto Solomon.
Ain't this is the same God then? It's the same God now. When we are not in good grace with God, he stir up certain enemies against you. He stir up an adversary against you. Now it's up to you to detect that and say, wait a minute, there must be something wrong or something that I'm coming short with. There's something that I'm doing wrong that's causing God to stir up people against me. See, if you're not on point like that, you're not gonna look at it that way. If you can't acknowledge that, there come a point in time where we gotta acknowledge that sometimes, and there come a point in time that we're wrong in certain situations. You're not always right. I'm not always right. We are not always right. There come a point in time when you are wrong. And you gotta fess up to it and accept it. Now we done got God angry. Solomon done made God angry, stirred up an adversary against him. The adversary was who?
Hadad,
the Edomite.
He was of the king's seed in Edom.
He was of the king's seed of Edom, which means he was royalty. He was royalty. Tamshi.
For it came to pass when David was in Edom, and Joab, the captain of the host, was going up to bury the slain.
Joab was going up, the captain of the host, to bury the slain.
After he had smitten every male in Edom.
After he went on a campaign. He started slaying all the Edomites. Hitting them up. Right? Go ahead.
For 6 months. For 6 months did Joab remain there.
For 6 months.
With all Israel. He had cut off every male in Edom. Mm-hmm. That Hadad fled. He and certain Edomites of the father's
We ever wondered how Hadad was able to get away? Because if Hadad didn't get away, then the word of Isaac's gonna drop. You forgot what Isaac told his son? He said he blessed him. He said it's gonna come a time where you're gonna break the yoke. And that was the beginning. Years and years and hundreds of years done passed. Now look when the yoke is broken.
Can't cut them all off.
No, that's not going to happen. Right. So now Hadad ended up escaping, migrated and went up into Egypt. Go ahead, read.
He and certain Edomites of his father's servants with him to go into Egypt. Hadad being yet a little child.
Hadad was a kid, a young kid. Read.
And they arose out of Midian and came to Paran. And they took men with them out of Paran, and they came to Egypt, and to Pharaoh, king of Egypt, which gave him a house, and appointed him victuals, and gave him land.
He gave him his own spot. He said, Hadad is up here. He gave him his own land, gave him a crib, gave him everything to where he didn't need or want for nothing. Go ahead, read.
And Hadad found great favor in the sight of Pharaoh, so that he gave him to wife the sister of his own wife, the sister of Tahpenes,
the queen. Read.
And the sister of Tahpenes bare him Genubat, his son. Whom Tahpenes weaned in Pharaoh's house.
They all breastfed, man. Ain't nobody gave their kid no bottle. The best milk was the milk from the parents, from the mother.
Bottles ain't
they breastfed those kids, man. And they breastfed them. Like I told this woman before, I said, my kids got breastfed all the way up till they was like 4 or 5 years old. When the child, we become Americanized and we start to raise our children according to that American custom. Because when we're feeding our kids, The children don't eat. When the children ain't supposed to be eating and they ain't got no teeth. People stuff food in the child's mouth and they don't have no teeth to chew. I make sure of that. No. And the only thing they ate was puree vegetables, puree fruits. That's it. Even now, up to the day, my kids ain't got no problem eating fruits and vegetables because of how they was raised. They'll take an apple, peel it, and eat that apple. Most kids ain't doing that. They want potato chips, candy bars, gummy bears, junk food. Because when the child was growing up, they stuffed cookies in the child's mouth, stuffed chips in the cow's mouth, put a little candy in the child's mouth, and
you get that taste, that first
you
taste.
Pervert and profane their taste buds to like this.
Eyes enlightened.
The child didn't ask for salt until you put it in there.
I see that.
You could give the child food without the salt and they gonna eat it. Put salt in it and see their facial expression. It's weird. So we train their thoughts, the way they think. We train their taste buds. They are in training now. And the way this child grow up is what the parent done trained the child into doing.
Training. That work.
That's it. Tom C.
And Genubat was in Pharaoh's household among the sons of Pharaoh. And when Hadad heard in Egypt that David slept with his fathers, and that Joab, the captain of the host, was dead, Hadad said to Pharaoh, "Let me depart that I may go to mine own country." Then Pharaoh said unto him, "But what hast thou lacked with me?"
He said, "Man, what you lack with me?" He said, "Why you want to go back home?" He said, "You ain't lack nothing with me. You got your own land. You got your own crib. You got everything." He said, "What did you lack with me?" He said, "Why you going back?" Read.
"Behold, thou seekest to go to thine own country." And he answered, "Nothing. Howbeit, let me go in any wise." And God stirred him up another adversary, Rezon, the son of Eliada, which fled from his lord Hadaezer, king of Zobah.
Okay, cut that. Now I got there. I brought this chapter up to say this, that when we anger God, God is the one that stir up adversaries and enemies and stir up certain problems, oppositions against you, because we ain't right with God. So the first thing we have to do is backtrack and ask myself, what am I doing that have caused God to turn against me? I'm always asking that question. Once anything negative happens, it ain't by chance, man. It's never by chance.
Of course.
Something caused it because we sin daily. We transgress and sin against God daily. Every day, man. Let's skip that. Let's go to Isaiah 19, verse 14, and then we're gonna go to Jeremiah 17. Let's go to Isaiah 19, verse 14 first.
Isaiah 19?
19, verse 14. That's the spot 14. I just want to hit. 19:14.
The Lord hath mingled a perverse spirit in the midst thereof.
He said the Lord, he said God had mingled a perverse spirit in the midst thereof. In the midst of the people, God mingled a perverse spirit. The word for mingle is masak. It means to mingle, to mix, to enter into relations, to associate, to crossbreed. And that took me to why our people, the so-called people of Israel, this is why we couple the ways of God with the ways and the customs of the people that we live amongst. Because God has put a perverse spirit in us. And that perverse spirit that God put in us is what's allowing us to say that we have a new year. that perverse spirit that God mingled in you is what's causing you to live like unto the heathens or the people that we live amongst and want to compare God's ways with the people's ways. Because God put that perverse spirit in us. Now the word for, he said, mingled or perverse, right? The word for perverse is enwi'im. Enwi'im means confusion. He said he mingled and he put a confused spirit in us. People are definitely, some people are definitely confused and they will never find their way. Because I had conversations with people, with men, with women, and the man and the woman, he said, man, I've been everywhere. I'm not in the church because I've been with the Muslim, but I don't see it there. I've been over here and they don't see it there. They just don't serve no God. They become atheists because they can't find the truth nowhere. Because who confused their spirit? Who put that confusion in them? God did. God did. Confuse their spirit. That was the first step, right? And we'im also means to disturb in the mind or purpose. When God disturbs in your mind, he disturbs your thoughts. He disturbs your thoughts. Your purpose. Your purpose. Your number one purpose, my purpose, your purpose, our purpose is to serve God. It's to keep his laws. And when my purpose is to serve God and keep his laws, nobody comes before that. Nobody comes before your purpose. But guess what? I'm the only one saying that. I'm the only one voicing it. Why I don't hear you voicing it? Our purpose is supposed to be the same, but it's not. My purpose is different than yours, which triggers off certain actions. My purpose is different than yours. Okay? To disturb in mind or purpose, right? The next definition is to fail to differentiate from an often similar or related other. To fail to differentiate from an often similar or related other. You fail to separate yourself. You fail to separate yourself from the people that we live amongst. We fail to differentiate, right? Now, it said the Lord had mingled a perverse spirit in the midst of, and now we're going to go to Jeremiah 17. Jeremiah 17. Jeremiah 17. Jeremiah chapter 17. It said the sin of Judah is written with a pen of iron. Which means what? It's hard, man. It's hard. And when it's written with a pen of iron, it's engraved. It's engraved. You write something with a pen of iron, it ain't going nowhere. When God say your sins or my sins is written with a pen of iron, which means what? There's no changes that's going to come with this guy. If there wasn't going to be no changes that come with this person, then it wouldn't have been written with a pen of iron. It wouldn't have been written with no pen of iron. He said, a pen of iron
with the point of a diamond.
With the point of a diamond.
It is graven upon the table of their heart.
Upon the horns of your altar. It is engraved. It is engraved upon the tables of their heart. Engraved, cut in to devise, formed in the mind, anything engraved or graven, it ain't, and it's upon your heart, it ain't going nowhere. This is the way this person think. This is the way this person move. There is no changes that's going to come with it. But we got to realize something, man. When are we going to start working on ourselves? Because in working upon yourselves, it will change the way you think. People are still stuck. People are still stuck. I have yet to hear somebody denounce themselves of the way they think and how they move. Yeah, I shouldn't think this way. Yeah, I know it's right, but I don't agree with it. At least you accept it. I know it's right because God said it's right. I have to train myself to agree with it. That take a certain level, man. That take a certain amount of belief in God. The reason why you're not working on yourself to believe anything in this book is because you don't acknowledge it. You don't believe it. So you're not going to train yourself to believe what you read. You're only doing it because. Because. Whatever the because is, whatever reason it is, this is the only why we're doing this. Read.
Whilst their children remember their altars and their groves.
While their children remember their altars and their groves by the green tree upon the high hill. Let me modernize it. While their children remember their Christmas trees. While their children remember their Thanksgivings. While their children remember their birthdays and all these pagan holidays. Right? To remember means to call to mind. In order to get to God, I had to let go of my past. I had to learn to let go of my past of what I was taught.
Leave those memories.
Leave those memories and those thoughts behind you. Don't entertain those memories and those thoughts. Leave them behind you. Leave them behind you. Because when you're coming to God and you're learning about God, I have to come to God with a clear mind. Because when you don't come to the Creator with a clear mind, then I'm going to start comparing what I was taught before with this. Time sheet.
And thou, even thyself, shall.
Okay, go ahead. And
thou, even thyself, shall discontinue from thine heritage.
And thou, even thyself, shall discontinue from thine heritage.
That I gave you.
You know what discontinue means? What is discontinue? Discontinue. He said it's continue. When you say, do you have this mechanical thing? Oh, well, this could continue. Discontinue means they ain't used no more.
That's it.
They discontinued it. They ain't selling it no more. It's over. That's it. You're not gonna come back to the store and find it there. This is the word that God used for Israel, man. To discontinue, which means we ain't going back.
That's what it means.
We ain't going back.
That's what it means.
So why is these people talking this foolishness about going back? When God said you have been discontinued from your heritage. What is our heritage? The land. You know when we going back? Not in this life. Not in this life. From here, I'm going to the grave. And so is going to happen with anybody else. The only way to get back is to get a plane ticket. I was watching these people, the nation of Israelites, right? They was on YouTube from Demona. Yo, it's a lot of them, man. It's a lot of them over there, man. And it's a beautiful thing. They got a nice community. All they live in that community. Nobody moves in. Like, it's beautiful, man. I want to visit. I would love to visit Jerusalem. Love to visit. See the mountain. see all these things. Just to see it. With your own eyes. He said, discontinue also means to release. Right? He said their heritage was a possession from a predecessor. What was Jerusalem given to Israel? That was our heritage. So when God released us, he released us to never return. That's what discontinue means. To be released, to never be returned.
You don't get this no more.
Tamshi.
And I will cause thee to serve thine enemies.
I will cause you to anything that's caused. I will cause you. I'm going to make you serve your enemies. It's going to happen. I will cause you to serve your enemies.
Serve thine enemies in the land which thou knowest not.
In the land that you don't know not. Read.
For ye have kindled a fire in mine anger, which shall burn forever.
He said, man, we done did something to kindle our anger in God that could never be put out. Don't you notice that with us ourselves, there is certain things that certain men don't forget because of what you did, how many years you did, 5, 10, 15, 20 years, 30 years, 40 years ago. When he speak about this instance, it makes him angry. Certain, read.
Thus saith the Lord.
Thus saith the Lord.
Cursed be the man that trusted in man.
Cursed be the man that trusted in man.
And make it flesh his arm.
Make it flesh his arm.
And whose heart departed from the Lord.
When a man trusts in man, that's the beginning of a man's heart departing away from God. Means there's no trust. You don't have no trust in God, so you put your trust in lawyers and doctors before putting your trust in the Most High. That trust in God come first. Tamshi.
Well, he shall be like the heath in the desert.
A heath in the desert.
And shall not see when good coming.
And then you say you're going to be a heath in the desert, and you're not going to be able to perceive when God is doing you good. When God is showing you good or trying to deliver you. Like I go back to this little instance. He said, man, the person was in the water, and he ain't drowning, but he's sitting in the water. The ship came by. He said, come on. He said, I'm waiting on God. Passed by. Ship came by again. He said, I'm waiting on God. You fool. You fool. The help was right there. God sent the ship there to get you out of there. I forgot the way it was, but that was the
3 ships passed.
Yeah.
He waiting on God.
And what happened to the last thing?
He drowned.
Then he drowned. He drowned. Waiting on God sent help. Tamshi.
But shall inhabit the parched places in the wilderness, in the salt land and not inhabited. Blessed is the man that trusted in the Lord.
Blessed is the man that trusted in the Lord. Go to verse 9.
The heart is deceitful.
The heart is deceitful above all things.
And desperately wicked.
And desperately wicked. You know what's the word for deceitful? Right? It don't mean deceit. It says anush. Anush means frail or weak. The heart is frail. The heart is weak. Right? It also means incurable. Not being able to be cured. Cannot be healed. You see that, man? Now why it says that? He said a heart is deceitful above all things and desperately wicked. He said, who can know it? You don't even know your own heart. Only God really knows the depths of a man's heart and how the person is. He said, but the heart is incurable, cannot be healed. How do we heal ourselves? What is the beginning of healing ourselves? Number 1, acknowledging your fault with God and turning towards his laws. That's the healing process. But we can't even do that. We can't even do that because we are always right. Everything I do, I'm right. You ain't never wrong. Go ahead, read.
I, the Lord, search the heart.
He said, I, the Lord, search the heart.
I try the reins.
He said, I, the Lord, search the heart to observe by what? by close examination. He said, our Lord examines the heart, right? When it speaks about the heart, it's talking about the mind, the way a person thinks. And what channels and what curves your thinking pattern is when we adhere and take heed to the laws, commandments, and statutes of God, which means I got to revert back. If you've taken heed to the laws and the commandments of God, you would never assume or accuse. Because God said, he said, don't raise up a false report. Don't raise up a false report. Don't talk and say things that you ain't got no proof of. Don't talk and say things and tell this man how you think he feels. The only one that knows how I feel is God. And guess what? You can only tell me how I feel through your actions. If I never projected this, if I never insinuated this, if my actions does not correlate with it, then can't do that. Go ahead, read.
I try the reins.
He said, I try the reins.
Even to give every
now
man.
What are the reins? The reins, when it speaks about the reins is what? To control or direct with a restraining influence.
Control and restraint.
Okay. Now, when God said he controlled the reins in the heart of man, right? God put forth certain things before you to see if you can control yourself with this. Do you have discipline? Do you have control?
He tests it.
He tests what you're weak at and put it before you. And certain things you will see to where you have God put certain things before you, man, to see if you have any control and able to refrain for the sake of the laws, commandments, and statutes of God. If you can resist it. He said, he said, I don't know, search the heart. I try the reins, even to give what?
Every man
according to his ways. He said, according to the way you is how I'm going to deal with you. That's how God deals. According to a man's ways is how God gonna deal with you. Not according to your ways. Not according to what you think. We got this thing here all twisted according to what God thinks. Which means if I didn't violate God, then I ain't got to worry about what man or woman say. Because their terminology of what is good or evil is distorted. Their terminology of what is good or evil does not compare and it doesn't correlate with what God said is good or evil. So I ain't got to worry about what you say, oh madam or sir. God's going to get you or whatever you say. God ain't going to get me. You know why? Because I didn't violate God. You mad because you want me to move in a certain manner or a way that is pleasing to you. That's the problem. And guess what? That is a little bit, whether it's a lot or a little, that's control. That's called being controlling. If man can't control me, the only one that can control me is God. How do God control me? By me adhering and taking heed to his laws. I was looking at a show. He asked the woman, he said, what can a man expect from you?
He asked the woman.
Expect from his wife, from you. Expect from you. You know what she said? She said, "You can expect. I have my own money. I'm determined." She said all these things. He said, "So what you're saying now is that you're a man?" She looked at him. "Why you say that?" She said, "Because you said everything else that a man is not looking for." What happened to submissive? What happened to being passionate? What happened to these things? Man not looking for you. No, I don't want your money. I'm not looking for your money. You done gave me the qualities of a man. So I was watching it when she kept going and kept going. The woman said, he ain't no good. He said, I'm not going to stand here and watch you down that man. He said, because whatever he is, that's what you chose to be with. You chose to be with. You knew once you seen the way, why you stay? Then you go and have children with him. He said, where you going? He said, you got children with the man. He said, you're going to leave from a situation to go into the same situation. And I'm not going to lie, what the man said was truth. It's truth. It's truth, man. Okay. He said, I, the Lord, search the heart. I try the reins, even to give every man according to his ways and according to the fruit of his doings. The fruit of his doings is the effect or consequences of one's actions. Effect or consequences of one's actions, which means whatever actions or whatever I'm doing, there's an answer for it. There's an effect from it. Okay? He said, as the partridge sitteth on the eggs and hatcheth them not, so he that getteth riches and not by right shall leave them in the midst of their days, and at this end shall be a fool. Now the partridge, they're bullies. The partridge run around the field pecking other birds to move them to sit on their eggs. Now, for some reason, God has equipped every partridge or every bird with a certain temperature. Those eggs, the only one that can hatch those eggs is the mother.
The bird, mother, that lady.
Right. It's a match. Her heat that gives off, she can sit on those eggs and they'll hatch.
Only her heat.
Only her heat. Once that mother get pecked off or ran off, another mother or another bird can't sit on the eggs because it's not a match.
The eggs didn't come from her.
Eggs didn't come from her. Mm-hmm.
A glorious throne from the beginning is the place of our sanctuary. Verse 13. O Lord, the hope of Israel, all that forsake thee. O
Lord, the hope of Israel,
all that forsake thee shall be ashamed.
Shall be ashamed.
And they
shall be disappointed. When you're ashamed, it's a feeling or shame, guilt, or disgrace, feeling of unworthy. Read.
And they that depart from me shall be written in the earth.
Shall be written, shall be recorded in the earth.
Because they have forsaken the Lord.
The ones that depart from God are written in the earth. And God also have a book of life. To where if you do right, live righteously, according to what God says, your name will be in the book of life. When our name is abstract from that, we took it out. We removed it ourselves with our actions and our lifestyle. Tamshi.
Depart from me shall be written in the earth, because they have forsaken the Lord, the fountain of living waters. Heal me, O Lord, and I shall be healed. Save me, and I shall be saved.
Okay, cut that. Let's go to Nehemiah 9. Nehemiah chapter 9. Read that.
Nehemiah chapter 9.
Right.
Now on the 24th day of this month, the children of Israel were assembled with fasting and with sackcloth.
The children of Israel on the what? 24th?
24th day of this
24th day of this month, the children of Israel got together. They assembled with fasting
and with sackcloth
and
earth upon
them. Read.
And the seed of Israel separated themselves from
and
all
the
strangers.
seed of Israel separated themselves
from all strangers.
From all strangers.
And stood and confessed their sins.
They stood and confessed their sins. And now in the Hebrew, it don't say strangers. Why it don't say strangers? Because we had strangers that joined us. Right. We had strangers that joined Israel and lived according to the ways and the custom of Israel.
Strangers serve God.
The strangers, the geared, are the ones that join themselves to God. The word stranger in Hebrew, it says nekad. Nekad means a foreigner, an alien, nakri. The aliens and the foreigners are the ones that have not joined themselves to serve God. And they separated themselves from those foreigners. Right?
Right. Read. And stood and confessed their sins.
Confessed their sins.
And the iniquities of
their fathers.
And they stood up in their place.
Now, in order to confess, you got to acknowledge your fault. I got to acknowledge that, hey, man, I'm wrong. You got to see your fault and acknowledge it and say, well, man, I'm not doing right. I'm not doing right. And that's what's going to bring a certain type, that's what's going to make you start confessing and confessing your fault before God, acknowledging your fault before God. Read.
And they stood up in their place. Read in the book of the Lord.
The
Lord their God, 1/4 part of the day. And another 4th part they confessed and worshiped the Lord their God. Then stood up upon the stairs of the Levites, Yeshua, Benai, Kadmiel,
cut that, go to verse 6.
Thou, even thou, art Lord alone.
Alone. There is no other God with my God. There is no other. There are no gods besides the Most High.
He's the only one.
He's the only one. You said what? He said, thou, even thou art Lord alone. Read.
Thou hast made heaven.
He said, thou hast made the heavens.
The heaven of heaven.
And the heaven of heavens.
With all their hosts.
What's all their hosts? The sun, the moon, stars, the clouds, the earth.
And all things that are
therein.
The seas.
And
all that is
therein.
And thou preservest them all.
Thou preservest them all.
And the hosts of heaven worshipeth thee.
Thou
art the Lord, the God.
Thou art the Lord God.
Who didst choose Abram.
God chose Abram.
And brought him forth out of Ur of the Chaldees.
Took him out of Ur of the Chaldees, which was Babylon.
And gave him the name of Abraham.
Changed his name to Abraham.
And found his heart faithful before thee.
And God found his heart faithful. Faithful allegiance. All right? Faithful is allegiance to duty or a person. That's faithfulness. Which means your duty, I can never stop doing this. I have to always make way to do this, to accomplish this duty. And his allegiance was? His allegiance was to his father. He had a duty. He wasn't because before he didn't know God. Abraham didn't know God at first. He served gods of wood and stone. And his duty and his allegiance was to his father. God did not appear to Abraham until after his father died. Then he picked him up. Belief and trust and loyalty to God. Another form of faithfulness is belief and trust in God. Loyalty to God, right? Another definition of faithful is firm belief in something for which there is no proof. Abraham didn't need proof. Abraham didn't have to be shown signs to believe in God. Abraham didn't have to show signs to believe in the Creator. And guess what? We are in that bracket. We don't see no signs. But we have to yet make ourselves, by reading this book, cause ourselves to believe everything in this book without no proof. That alone would cause God to open his eyes, and that bring the attention of God towards you. That bring the attention of God towards you immediately. Because it spoke about, he said, man, yet these people here, man. He said, I didn't show them no signs. I didn't show them no wonder. He said, but yet they still serve me with no proof.
No signs.
No signs. Tamshi.
And found us his heart faithful before thee, and made us a covenant with him to give the land of the Canaanites, the Hittites, Amorites, Perizzites, Jebusites, and the Girgashites, to give it, I say, to his seed. And has performed thy words. Thou art righteous.
Thou art righteous. Read.
And didst see the affliction of our fathers in Egypt, and heardest their cry by the Red Sea.
He heard their cry by the Red Sea. When they was running from Egypt, because they left out of Egypt, Pharaoh and his host is chasing them. They're behind them. When they got to the Red Sea, the only way to get away from them is to drown. So they stopped at the Red Sea. They cried out to God. God heard them. The first thing God did was put a cloud, a thick darkness between the Egyptians and Israel, to where they could not find their way. It was a type of darkness that was so thick that you cannot penetrate. You couldn't see through it. God did that. Right? Go ahead.
And showed signs and wonders upon Pharaoh and all his servants and all the people of his land.
Showed signs and wonders upon Pharaoh and all his servants and all the people of the land. But thou knewest. What was the signs? The signs was when those plagues. You had people that believe and think that the sun is God. I had to correct people with that. God, the sun is God. Sun is not no God. Who you think put the sun there? Who you think put the sun there? So if the sun is God, why didn't the sun bring light upon the earth when God put darkness in the whole face of Egypt? It was a thick darkness that we couldn't see. There was no movement. You ain't moving nowhere. And that was no regular darkness. Sunlight ain't getting through it. And the sun at that point, look, sun God. Call on the sun God and tell him shine that. No, God had to remove that. He said,
but thou knowest that they dealt proudly against them.
They dealt proudly against them. The word for proudly is Zayin Dalet. It means insolent, insultingly. Right? So what is insolent? He said they dealt insolent with them. Insolent is insultingly. Insult. They did things to insult you. Right? Now what is this? Right? They did things to insult you. Right? Contemptuous. Okay? Contemptuous in speech. The word contemptuous comes from the word contempt. Contempt is what? The feeling that a person is beneath consideration. That's what contempt is. When you have the spirit of contempt and you're contemptuous, you disregard others. You disregard others. You don't regard nobody but yourself. All right? Disregard for something that should be taken into account. This should be considered. But because I am contemptuous, you don't consider nobody but yourself. All right? When you lack respect or fear of something that is usually respected or feared, that's contempt. Right?
Right.
Okay. The other definition, insulting, insolent, also means boldness. Boldness. You become bold. Bold against who? Against God. Now it takes a certain type of boldness to transgress presumptuously. Impudent means disregard for others. The law is for every man concerning his neighbor. The law tells us and teaches us how I should deal with you and how you should deal with me. Okay? Now, what is the last one? Insultingly. I went to that. Okay, Tamshi.
But thou knowest that they dealt proudly against him, so didst thou get thee a name as it is this day. And thou didst divide the sea before them, so that they went through the midst of the sea on the dry land.
Okay, cut that, because I ain't got much time, but I got to highlight. I got something here to bring. I want to bring, let's go into the Apocrypha. Oh, wait. Oh, we can't cut that yet. Matter of fact, I'm going to hit the highlight. Go to the Apocrypha, and I'm gonna keep going. Just to read it. The reader goes to the Apocrypha, Baruch chapter 4. Okay? I'm going to skip everything, go to verse 12. He said, moreover, thou leddest them in the day by a cloudy pillar, and in the night by a pillar of fire, to give them light in the way wherein they should go. So I did my little studies. I'm studying. I said cloudy pillar. The word for cloudy pillar as cloud is anan. When I'm digging, he said, it says it was a cloud mass of theopanic. Theopanic is a visible manifestation to humankind. This is what you see. Put that thick cloud there. But what surrounded, what was inside that thick cloud was the glory of God. Was the glory of the Creator. All this, the nation seen that, man. That's why God didn't play with these people, man. Because they seen the glory of God. They did not have no choice. They didn't have no choice. So let's go to go to Apocrypha. Go to Baruch chapter 4.
Baruch.
Right.
Chapter 4. From the top.
Yeah.
This is the book of the commandments of God.
This is the book of the commandments of God.
And the law that endureth forever.
And the law that endureth forever.
All they that keep it
shall come to life. Right? He said, this is the book of the commandments of God. I mean, God gave us laws, commandments, and statutes, how we should live our life, how we should live, the things that we should be doing, and the things that we shouldn't be doing, things that we should stay away from. It said, the law that endures forever. All they that keep it shall come to life. All they that keep it shall come to life. So what they mean by come to life? We're living already. But in order to come to life, you got to die. He said, but such as leave it shall die. Read.
Turn thee, O Jacob.
Turn, O Jacob.
And take hold of it. Walk in the presence of
the light thereof.
That thou mayest be illuminated. Give not thine honor to another. Nor the things that are proper to thee to a strange nation. O Israel, happy are we. For things that are pleasing to God are made known unto us.
For the things that are pleasing to God are made known unto us. There are certain things and certain ways and certain laws that are pleasing to God. And God revealed it to Jacob, to the nation of Israel. Read.
Be of good cheer, my people, the memorial of Israel. You were sold to the nations, not for your destruction.
Okay, sold to the nations. Everybody knew about slavery. How we came over and migrated from the land, from Jerusalem into Africa. When they migrated into Africa, certain people came over in ships to Africa, and we were sold. We was took from out of there. We was took from Africa and brought over to the Americas, Right? Not for our destruction, but because what?
Ye moved God to
because
wrath.
We moved God to wrath. We got God angry. So because we got God, we angered God.
You were delivered unto thine enemy.
Read.
For ye provoked him that made you by sacrificing unto devils and not to God. Ye have forgotten the everlasting God that brought you up, and ye have grieved Jerusalem that nursed you.
And with that, I got what was brought. And I'm going to call it the next speaker, Chief Mikhail.
Giving all praises to the God of Abraham, God of Isaac, God of Jacob. Giving all due respect to my father, my teacher, and the leader, Chief Eleazar Ben Dodo. Giving all due respect to the chief men, prince men, brothers in Israel, brothers and sisters, visitors. I bid you out of the tongue of our forefathers. Shabbat Shalom.
Shabbat Shalom Lekah.
Okay, we're going to do a lot of hopping around. First stop. We're going to go to the book of Genesis. Go to the book of Genesis. Go to the book of Genesis first. Toshi.
Genesis, what chapter?
Beginning. Genesis 1.
In the beginning, God created the heaven and earth.
He said, in the beginning, this is how it started. Don't let nobody fool you and tell you there were people who were alive, that there were things constructed, that there was aliens or anything. There was no life before this line we just read here.
No.
Nothing existed. Nobody existed. Okay? You have to clear because people are saying other than what's in this book here. Israelites, heathens, everybody. They say in the beginning of what? In the beginning of what? Beginning of what? Life, creation, anything to exist. Because before that, the only one was around was God. Okay? That's it. By himself. All right? In the beginning, God created the heaven and the earth. That's how everything started. When God created what we call space. Okay? And galaxies and all that stuff up there. And this planet, this world, and everything in it. Everything we know of, God created it. There are things that God created out there in the heavens we have not experienced because we were placed in the earth. So I tell people, leave that stuff alone because you have people now talking about an era before this. And there's no era before this. This is the beginning. It said he created the heaven and the earth. Now it's going to tell you the condition, okay? How it was before everything was created. Tamshi.
And the earth was without form and void. And darkness.
All that means is the earth wasn't there yet. The place where God put the planet Earth, right, was empty. Void means empty. Okay? It was without form and void. There was nothing there but darkness. Okay? Our solar system, the sun, and all those planets that move around it, that this area where our solar system at was empty. Nothing existed. That's what that means. People take that and turn it into something else. There was no anything else that God took from and then molded and created and made it form. That's what you do with clay. Mm-hmm. That means there was something that existed. Mm-hmm. That means this is what we read right now is contradicting itself. Mm-hmm. Okay? There was nothing. Don't let words fool you. Don't let these meanings people put in here fool you. There was nothing. You got to remember one thing. This was written in, translated from King James. Okay? From Old English. A lot of these words were translated from the Hebrew into Old English. Okay? It's not that it can. It's no question. Keep it in mind. Old English. Hear ye. The people, that's Old English. Thou means you. They never said the word you. They said thou. Okay? And thou. They use different words. These words, you're using those old words. That's the translation that we got this in. So certain words are not modernized. Some of these words have a meaning and it means it back then. Okay? Without form and void. Okay? And darkness was where?
Upon the face of the deep.
Upon the face of the deep. The deep is waters. That's the only thing that's deep. Is air deep? No. Think about it. There was nothing else there. The deep is the abyss. The abyss is something that doesn't end. There's no bottom to it. Okay? And the earth was without form and void. Darkness was upon the face of the deep, and the Spirit of God. God himself. God is a spirit. He's not flesh. We're flesh. We got blood vessels in the heart pumping. God don't have that. He's a spirit. He's a spirit. He's saying the Spirit of God moved upon the face of the waters. So though these are the waters, God is over it, and he moved over the waters. All those waters is just water. It's just water. It never said in here, God, water was there. Water existed. Darkness existed. Because that's what it was there that God said. He said, darkness was upon the face of the deep, and the Spirit of God moved upon the face of the waters. Now, don't try to go too bit to understanding all of that. All you need to know is there was nothing but water and it was dark. It was no light. You don't need eyes. We need eyes. We need a spectrum. We need yellow and colors. God don't need that. Spirit don't need that. You don't need to breathe. And he moved over the face of the waters. That's it. And God, I can't say one day, God said, because days wasn't made yet. Time wasn't made yet. You understand? We didn't exist in nothing that we know existed. All right? God said, let there, at a point, God just said, let there be light. And light came to existence. Okay? Forget about magnetism that causes a flash. Forget about all of that stuff. That's science. Ain't got nothing to do with God. God said, let there be light. Light popped up. It didn't have to form itself. It didn't have to come together. There's nothing to come together. There's nothing to form without form. Nothing had form or shape. So when God said, let there be light, it became and it appeared. When God creates, it gets a name. The creation gets a name as it comes into existence. To create means to bring into existence, meaning it didn't exist, meaning it didn't have a shape, meaning, I'm going to take this slab of metal and I'm going to forge and hammer this into a weapon. God did not do that. There was nothing there. There was no elements. All the elements was made when God made the earth. Metal and iron and steel. All that stuff was made. And that's for us. God don't use that. He don't need to use that. He said, let there be light. Light popped up. Boom. It don't have nothing to do. It wasn't a light bulb. It wasn't the sun. It wasn't the moon. It wasn't no stars. It was just light. I can explain it. I'm not going to try to explain it to you. You shouldn't try to explain it in your head either. It doesn't explain anything. Leave it the way it is. This is where people get confused and go off. Then you hear stuff on the internet and outside and from other Israelites, and it's not what it says in here. Light came, and that was it. It was there. It presented itself. Anytime God said, when he said, let there be light, and the light pulled up, it presented itself before God. It didn't just appear and go about his business. It appeared before God. He said that there was light. Now light exists. That's what that means. And God saw the light, looked at it, and he examined it. He said it was good. He liked what he created. And God divided the light from the darkness. Now, he already had the darkness, so what he did now, he got to divide it. He divided. God is always about keeping a separation. He didn't mix night and day. So what he did was divided by, he said he called the light day. That's why the minkat is said, we pray, it's the prayer of the morning. Yeah, no, shakari is the prayer of the morning. Minkat is the prayer in the evening, right? The prayer in the morning time is before the sun come up. Because before the sun come up, if you ever looked, when it's nighttime, all the night owls that be up at night, if you ever made attention to the sky, when the sun is about to come up, there is light before the sun. And that that light is not from the sun. There is a certain light that comes up, and it's called the breaking of the dawn. That light is that light. Yeah, light was made. The sun ain't made yet. The sun ain't here. The heavens wasn't even made yet. So he said, this light here I'm going to call day. This marks the time, and this is going to mark this the beginning of the daytime. That's why when we look, the sun ain't up yet, but we see the sky look kind of a little pale, a little light. Oh man, the sun about to come up. It's about to be, but it's daytime. So he called the light day, and the darkness he called night. Now the darkness that was there, gave it a name, because it was there already. He just gave it a name, and now they're opposites. And the evening and the morning were the first day. So the first actual day recorded in the history period, God created the light, and he called it day, and he called the darkness night, and that was it. The first day, light was created. That was it. That was the only thing created. Right? I'm not going to sit here and try to, this is why people need to leave the calendars alone, leave a lot of that stuff alone, because God said that was the first day. You don't know how long that was. There still wasn't no sun yet to mark the day coming, right or wrong. So you leave that stuff alone. Verse 6, and God said, let there be a firmament. A firmament is what we call space. That's what you go, up in space. All of that space that seems like it goes on forever, that's what's got put in between the waters. So you got the waters right here. God took the space, which is heaven, put it right in the middle of the water. Now you got water over the heaven, and you got water under the heavens. Now, think of how big the heavens is to you. You will never be able to see the end of it, or the top or the bottom of it. You will never be able to see where that division is at. You know how big that is? Enormous. It's enormous than the word enormous. But, the scientists say space goes on forever. But according to God, it doesn't. But they will never reach that limit. That's how big it is. That's how big this thing is. All right? And let it divide the waters from the waters. He said, and God made the firmament and divided the waters which were under the firmament from the waters which were above the firmament. And it was so. And God called the firmament heaven. Now that space that he used to divide the waters, gave it a name, heaven. That's why we call it the heavens, up in heaven. All right? And the evening and the morning were the second day. So that was the second day. And God said, let the waters under the heaven be gathered together unto one place. Now the waters that were under, you got the waters on the top. You got the heavens, which is that firmament, the space. Then you got the waters that was under, right? He said, those waters that are under, let them all come together because they were spread it out. I don't know how far, how wide. Can't tell you that. That's not God. Forget about it. There was no measurement back then. And all the waters came together. All the waters came together there. Here, to one spot. Time sheet. Verse 10.
Yeah.
No, verse 8.
It's 8. And the evening and the morning were the second day. And God said, let the waters under the heaven be gathered together under the one place. And let the dry land appear. And it was so. So now, the waters that is under the heaven get together into one place and let the dry land appear. Land. The dirt. Let land come up now. Now, land appeared out of nowhere also, just like the light. Just like the fire. And he said, but make them come together. Tamshi. And God called the dry land earth. And the gathering together of the waters called he seas. And God saw that it was good. That was the creation of this planet. The waters that was under, that we call now oceans, rivers, streams, ponds, lakes, seas, all that water that's on this planet, okay, that was the waters that was under. And it got brung together with land. He said, let the dry land appear. And that appeared, he said, that's the earth. That's why this planet is called Earth. We call it the earth. Tamshi. And God said, let the earth bring forth grass, the herb yielding seed, and the fruit tree yielding fruit after its kind, whose seed is in itself and upon the earth. And God said, let that land, let the earth bring grass. Now it starts shooting up grass, greenery, vegetation, trees, flowers, all right? And the herb yielding seed, and the fruit tree yielding fruit after his kind, whose seed is in itself upon the earth, and it was so. Let this thing pop up now with a seed in the fruit, so that seed will drop and plant and grow again. So these things can keep going. Let these things grow with its own seed in it, so it can keep replenishing. Right? And the earth brought forth grass, and the herb yielding seed after its kind, and the tree yielding fruit, whose seed was in itself after its kind. And God saw that it was good. And everything that God said let happen, it happened. Automatically. And the evening and the morning was the third day. And God said, let there be lights in the firmament of the heaven. Now we're going to light it up. These are what you call the ornaments of heaven. He said, now in heaven, now there was nothing in heaven. There was still nothing there. So God said, let there be lights. I'm going to put lights. I'm going to light it up now. Okay? Tamshi. Let there be lights in the firmament of the heaven to divide the day from the night. And let them be for signs and for seasons and for days and years. And let them be for lights in the firmament of the heaven to give light upon the earth. These lights, I'm going to put certain lights. It's going to be different types of lights that I'm going to put up there in the heavens. When I'm going to put it up there, it's going to be for what? Signs, seasons. To divide the day from the night. Certain lights he put up there, you're going to know when it's daytime. You're going to know when it's nighttime. All right? That's what the host of heaven is for. It's not for people to worship or to call it God or make gods out of them. It's for you to know what time of the day it is, what time of the night it is, what time of the year it is. That's what it's for. He said, let them be for signs. Once you see a certain sign in the heaven, it's starting to get dark. Oh, wow, it's dark already. It's dead. Right. You look at the time. Oh, wow. Man, I stayed here too long. I slept too long, or I'm late.
because that gives you the time. And for seasons, they also let you know when it's wintertime and when it's summertime. Okay? And for days and years. In other words, this is what man is going to make his time from. Okay? It's called a sundial. They will make a dial, big, round foundation. And then they will put a big giant stick right in the middle. It's circular. They put a stick in the middle of it. Now the sun rises in the east, right? Now over the course of the day, the sun moves through the sky, right? Mm-hmm. And the shadow is going to move. So the shadow move. Oh wow, it's still in this part of the circle. That's 1 o'clock. And as it moves over, the shadow moves. Just that's where we get the clock from. You see the movements of the clock, of the hands of the clock? All that comes from this. God gave man this stuff so that we can govern time. All right? Time sheet.
And God made 2 great lights. The greater light to rule the day and the lesser light to rule the night. He made the stars also.
That's the sun, the moon, and the stars. Time sheet.
And God set them in the firmament of the heaven to give light upon the earth.
He made it, right? And it was born. Then he said, okay, he took them like you decorating your house. Like I'm changing, like I'm put up a light bulb, and I'm putting them. That's what he did. He said, look, you come here, you here. This way you're going to be sun. This way you're going to be moon. You're going to be this amount of miles away from the earth. I'm not going to put you too close or too far. That's what you call gauging. Okay? Okay? It's not science. God does these things. He knows that masses of body too close together is going to collide. It has a lot of magnetism and all that stuff. He knows that. So the moon stays a certain way, a certain distance. That way, the oceans and everything stay calm because it affects the gravity and the magnetism of the planet. The sun, I ain't got to explain that. I mean, it said God created everything with wisdom and wisdom. The sun is for heat, but when you're cold, you put the ready, you got a heater. That heater blasting heat. You gonna stand up right in front of it? Huh, brother? You ain't gonna stand up right in front of it. You're gonna be a certain distance from it, right? So God put the sun and earth and the planets and everything a certain distance away from each other. So nothing don't burn out nothing or get cold out. Okay? Because these things, they exist now. And the only word I could use is what we notice as energy, that they accept the sun has heat. Nothing but heat. Okay? Nothing but heat. It's a ball of fire. So God took that ball of fire and said, you right here, you got to be here in the center, give everything the heat, all the heat will come out. If I put you at the end, the other side ain't going to get it. That's all. Has nothing to do with science. Because we the same way. You ain't gonna be too close to the radiators and the fire and all, a certain distance. And you put your food right there, and it's not gonna get burnt. And it's still gonna keep it warm and keep it in that temperature. That's what God did. And we put all of that up there. You could get the heat, the light, and everything. And another thing that my brother pointed out a couple of weeks ago. He said, oh, but the photosynthesis of the trees, and da-da-da-da-da. Forget about that, because the trees were here before the sun. What were we taught in science class and in school? That the trees and greenery and everything need the sun. Without that, everything dies. But on God's word, if God say that ain't going to happen, it ain't going to happen. Because there was a time when these things was around and living and thriving before God created the sun to give light on those things. So leave science alone. Amen.
Verse 18.
18. And to rule over the day and over the night and divide the light from the darkness. And God saw that it was good. He's the one that made the difference between light and dark. And the evening and the morning were the fourth day. And God said, let the waters bring forth abundantly the moving creature that hath life. Now the waters, he said, let the waters bring forth. He told the waters, there was nothing in that water. This is also I cannot explain. God told the water to bring forth fish and marine life. Everything that's in the water, God told the water, push it out. It wasn't there before, but whatever God says, it just happens. It's a natural reaction, they call that. It comes into existence out of nowhere. Where this came from? Where this came from? Let me show you an example how God works. When they were in the wilderness, when they just came out of Egypt, they were around the area where there's no food, you can't plant nothing, you can't even build nothing. All right? They were hungry. They wanted to eat. God made what is called manna. The people called it manna because they didn't know what else to call it. When they wake up early in the morning, when they look amongst the dew, there's a little round circle, little pellets. Okay? And you got to go, you got to get them, and you got to gather them. When you gather enough of them, a certain amount, which is called an omer, right? That's enough for you. That's your bread. That's what they ate. That's how they ate every day for 40 years. Yeah, brother. I saw that reaction. Yeah. You know why God did that? To show them that he is God and God alone. Not those gods of Egypt that you came out of. That about the God of thunder, the God of the wind. They don't exist. This is the real story right here. Only one, which is the creator, the most high creator, did these things. And he does things like that with his people for a sign, not just in Israelites are one-track minded. They be like, yeah, man. And they were so worried about how the heathen and our outsiders view us. Most of the miracles and the amazing things that God did for us and with us is to show us who God is. He said, and now you're going to know I'm going to do this so that you will know I'm God. Because you keep wavering and going off do your own thing. Now when you really, really, really in trouble, you come crying to me. I say, you know what? I'm going to help you out, but I'm going to help you out in a weird fashion. Strange things going to go down. Okay? And that's not for no reason. The heathen, the wicked, all these people are not going. Don't stop expecting them to realize the ways of God. It is for us. He said, profitable for you. That's what I just read earlier, right or wrong? He said, profitable for you. It's not going to work for nobody else but you first. It has to work for you first. Before your children, before your wife. That's for the men, right? Before your wife, before your children, friends, whatever. For the woman, the only ones before you is God and your husband. But they work as one. Your husband will tell you everything about God. That's how it goes. And the children, we already know. We already know. If you don't have kids, imagine having a son and a daughter that fight against you. You wouldn't want that. Ain't nobody having it. Oh, when I have my kids, I ain't, right? Everybody does that. Everybody does that. Even if they don't say it, it's in their head. Some people say they don't want to have kids. They don't want to be bothered. God said be fruitful and multiply. At a certain time, find your match, get married, have something. Don't let your line run out. Get something. But most people don't want it because it'll work. He was talking about the diet for the kids. It's work to be behind them to make sure they get what they're supposed to get because they don't eat this and they don't eat that and they don't eat that. And that falls upon the mother mainly. Right or wrong?
Right.
That's mainly. The father can't be there all the time.
That's right.
The requirements for the father to hold things down, he got to go outside. He got to go outside unless he owns a corporation. He got his own. He ain't going to work today. He take care of work from the office in his den. All right, that's a different story. You got more time with the family. Because work takes the man away. Certain jobs takes the man's away. So it's on the woman now to uphold what the man got substantiated in his house. Now look, I live like this. This has to be done in my house. And whoever lived in my house. There's no way I'm going to be living like this and my wife not living like this. How today, I'm coming here today, right? Today, right? Shabbat, boom, boom, boom. She not here because she waiting for tomorrow to go to church. That's a house divided.
That's right.
And God is not going to accept nothing from me because I allowed that because it's my house. So, I'm going to ask a question now. What if it's her house? See, today, woman got the cribs, right?
Right.
Most women got the cribs, right or wrong?
Right.
Okay. Get your own crib. Get your own crib. Because I notice most men today, I can't say young, it's older men. Soon as you meet a woman, most women got there. It's easier for them to get. They made it that way, where it's easier for a woman to get certain things in this country than a man, right? Trust me on that. And that's an opportunity for the man. So, well, look, I'm with her now. So, and she'll give you a key. She'll move you in. But when things ain't going good, you getting out. You getting out. You, the man, I'm a man, I'm this, I'm that, yeah, but when it's time to go, you out of that house. So guess what? You have to, in these laws, God says, you divorce her, that's how you break up with her, because you were married. This wasn't a link up. When you write that bill of divorcement and give it to her, he said you give it to her in her hand. She can't say, I seen this happen too. I seen a man do it. He got paper and he wrote his name, I such and such, divorce, such and such and such, on the grounds of whatever reason. On this day of such and such and such and such, and he signed it. She ain't got to sign it. Went like this again, but you know what she did? You know what she did? She said, no, I ain't take it. She said, no, she threw it away. She didn't accept that. She ain't accepting that. I seen one take it and rip it up and throw it back in his face. You know why? Because the laws wasn't respected in the beginning. Mm-hmm. And throughout that whole relationship, so-called marriage, at least the man said, well, look, if I don't give her this paper, she's still married to me. It's over. Let me release her. That's law. Mm-hmm. Women ain't having it. Some women take it and put it down. The man has to say, well, what's up with her? Oh, no, I'm not with her no more. I gave her her divorce papers. Yo, he gave you a divorce papers? Yo, where's that? I threw it in the garbage. Mm-hmm. You ain't supposed to do that. Don't be ashamed. Because it is a shameful thing when a man has to do that. That's why you don't hear about it. Okay? David's wife was given to another man by her father. He was a king. You can't say nothing about that. But when he died, David said, look, man, I'm the king. I still want my woman back. She still belongs to me. Now, he never got back in the bed with her, but she is still his wife. And she came back. She didn't say, well, look, man, I'm good. It's over, Johnny. I'm with Steve right now. And he treat me better. He treat me better than you. None of that. Came back. He said, all right, well, you go stay there in the West Wing and you chill. You stay there for the rest of your life there, but you still belong to me. This is why the women were virgins. And when they got married, it's because that was the first time they ever had sex. So they only know that one man. So when things go bad, or say, you was rich when you married him, and now you lost it. Things happen. Or you could get sick. The man could get sick. He could lose his riches. He could take a fall. Men take falls. You have righteous men who are, you see what happened with Tobit? Mm-hmm. Tobit was a godly man. But situations went down and everything got snatched from him. Not to say, look, God give it back more. He gave Job back double. He gave him back the same thing. He had 10 kids. He said he gave him back his 3 daughters and his 7 sons. He had 500 sheep. Now he got 1,000 sheep. He got 700 camels. Now he got 1,400 camels. Everything that he had before, God gave it back double. So that's not about money. So man, you have a lot of people who serve God. They don't have to be rich. To serve God does not mean you're going to be rich. To serve God does not mean everything in life is going to be correct. Okay? Because we are not correct. We're born in an era where nothing here is correct. And all of this got to play out. What we have to do is get this right with yourself, with myself, with himself, with herself, everybody right before you die. Okay? That way you can live again. That's what, a lot of times in this book, we talk about living, but we already alive. There is another life after this. Determine if you, physical, it's called a physical death. When we die and go in the grave, our bodies go in the grave, our spirit goes somewhere else to report for what we did with God's laws or didn't do with God's laws. All right? This is probation period. You're on parole right now with God. You have a borrowed time. Your life is on borrowed time. Okay? So you get all of this as much as you can right before God, before you die. When you die, your body gets rotted and goes back to the ground. Your body goes back. It's fertilizer. Same as the cows and the elephants when they die. The wolverines come and eat them. The hyenas and the elephants and everybody come eat them. The lions come eat them. Then after that, no more meat left. The birds come and pick the bones, right or wrong. Mm-hmm. After a while, you just see bones. Come back a month later, you see a little bit of bones. You come back another month later, you hardly see anything. You know what happened? It got absorbed. All that stuff is minerals. They got back from the ground from whence it cometh from. We were formed of the ground also. But the spirit, which fuels your body, which contains the life that God breathed into man, that goes somewhere else. And that's the living again or the death that God is talking about. Because now in that spirit, that's another life now. That's the real life. Okay? And you can either live or die. You've been going from here. But a lot of people don't believe these things. But it's right there. It come out of God's mouth. How can you believe one thing that God say over here, but don't believe what God say over here? Right or wrong? Now we do that. We're strong over this over here. But what about over this here? God said the same thing. What about what God said about this here? That's our problem. Tom Sheep.
And God said, let the waters bring forth abundantly the moving creatures that had life.
That has life.
Fowls that may fly above the earth in the open firmament of heaven. And God created great whales and every living creature that moved, which the waters brought forth abundantly after their kind, and every winged fowl after his kind. And God saw that it was good. And God blessed them, saying, be fruitful and multiply and fill the waters in the seas, and let fowls multiply in the earth.
So the birds came out of the water too. fowl. Fowl is birds, the aviators, the ones that fly, the ones that have wings. He said, let them come out and let them fly. Let them habitate the heavens. Where birds dwell at, up in the sky. They only come down for food. Most of them is up there. Their nest is up there. They're up high. But they came out the water. Some sheep.
And the evening and the morning were the fifth day. And God said, let the earth bring forth living creatures after his kind, cattle, creeping things, and the beasts of the earth after his kind. And it was so.
Mm-hmm. Now it's for the animals, the land and the animals that live on land. Okay? Rhinos, elephants, lions, cats, dogs, and that's all in their family. Everything that got paws, that got claws, bears, koala bears, monkeys, everything in the monkey family. Antelopes, deers, horses, okay? Raccoons, skunks, beavers, moles, muskrats, mice, everything. Everything's coming up. Tom Street.
And God made the beasts of the earth after his kind, and the cattle after their kind, and everything that creepeth upon the earth after his kind. God saw that it was good. And God said, let us make man in our image.
Now,
after our likeness.
Now, man was the last thing made in creation. Because man, God had made man first, how he was going to survive. Nowhere to put him. It's void. So he had set up the heavens and the earth in a spot. Now it's time to make man. With the animals running all over, you got fruits, you got vegetables, you got the sky, you got the sun, moon, popping. Everything is working in this order. That's why I say God saw that it was good. You know what that means? Yeah, okay. It's serving its purpose that I created it for. After that, okay, boom. The next day, the next creation. Now he said, what? What, man? Let us make man in our image, after our likeness. Guess what? A lot of people like to say who God was talking to then. Guess what? Doesn't say, I leave that alone. But I know one thing. He wasn't talking to no woman or to another man. They weren't even made yet. That's number one. Number two, wasn't talking to that guy that they put, that guy that be on the cross. Wasn't him either. Okay? Never existed. All right? There was a realm in the heavens, okay, where God has his throne, where he sits on his throne. This is where all kings get the idea to make a throne to sit on. God has his throne. It's called a seat of judgment, okay? And before him, his angels are there. And you have angels, millions and millions of them, that all they do is bless his name. And you have others that make moves for him, carry messages. There's a network up there. Okay? There's a network up there. That's who God's speaking to. He said, let us make man in our image. Image means it looks like me. After our likeness. It looks like us. It looks like us, how we look. With an arm, with two arms, a right and a left. With this and that. Yeah, God got it. He said, my right hand. He said, thus say the Lord God, my right hand. My right hand. He got a hand. He said the laws was written with what? The fingers of God. So he said, no, we're going to make man after how I look. With a head, body, legs, and arms. And let them have dominion. And let them run the planet. Let them have dominion over the fish of the sea. Let them have dominion. You don't see do fish. He said, well, I'm going to go catch some humans. You see any fish? Are we in the water being caught on fishing lines? Right? Mm-hmm. We go and hunt them. We go and hunt animals. We go and fish for fish and catch them and bring them home and cut them up and cook them and eat them. We have the dominion. We take lions and tame them, have them doing tricks. Right or wrong? You tell your dog, sit down. Sit down, right? That's the dominion. Set traps for them. You can outthink them. All right? Over the sea, over the fowl of the air, over the cattle, over all the earth, and over every creeping thing that creepeth upon the earth. So God created man in his own image. In the image of God created he him. Male and female created he them. And God blessed them, and God said unto them, unto the male and the female, he said unto them, be fruitful and multiply. Meaning have babies. And those had babies, and those babies had babies, and those babies had babies. Adam and Eve had children. That's why God gave Adam Eve. So when they get together, they have children. They had more than just Adam, Seth, and Abel. We all know about Cain and Abel, right? Cain killed his brother Abel because he was jealous of Abel, because God accepted his brother's offering, didn't accept his offering. Right? Abel is dead. Then Cain wound up dying. And then they had another son called Seth. Okay? But that wasn't the only children they had. In order to follow this commandment, I'm the first man, she's the first woman. Right? We got to have female and male. We're not just going to have sons. You're going to have women, but most of the women don't get recorded from back then. Okay? And a lot of people, I heard Israelites say it. They be asking some weird questions. How did he was able to have kids? Who did he go into? His mother? I'm like, God did all of this and told them to do that. So when they have a son, the only way the son can have a kid now is to have sex with his mother? No. They had daughters too. It just wasn't recorded. Do you know by then there was cities? It said the city of Nar. Who lived in cities? People. At that time, see, at a certain time in Genesis, people think it's just Adam, Eve, and his sons on the earth. Okay? It said it came to pass. No, that could be hundreds of years later. They lived for hundreds of years. They didn't die when they hit 80 and 90 years old. They lived to 700, 600. One man ain't started having children till he was like 312 years old. Back then they lived longer, way longer.
Verse end of 28.
Okay, you can leave that. Go to the next chapter.
Huh?
Next chapter.
Thus the heaven and the earth were finished.
Now everything is done. Everything's finished. Everything's made.
And all the hosts of it. And on the seventh day, God ended his work which he had made.
No more creation. The creation was worth. So when the seventh day come, God didn't create nothing that day. He created on the first day, the second day, the third day, the fourth day, the fifth day, the sixth day. But when what we call today Saturday, when the seventh day came, he didn't create nothing. Okay? He said, and on the seventh day, God ended his work. He stopped working, which he had made, and he rested on the seventh day from all his work, which he had made. So on the seventh day, God rested from his work, but he didn't go lie down. Rest from work means you don't go to work today. You don't do anything of work today. You don't make no money today. You don't go building anything today. There's no shoveling today. There's no taking out of garbage today. All these things are work. There's no cleaning today. The only cleaning that could go on is the mother that has a baby that messed themselves up. She's allowed to clean that. Okay? But say, hey, get a kid some peanuts. Go take a wrapper. But you know, some of them wrappers, where it's supposed to open, it don't open. You gotta rip them. Sometimes the whole thing rips. Sometimes stuff rip, right? You have accidents, right? And all the peanuts go all over the floor. I can't go get a broom right now and sweep it up. I can't sit down here and gather it. You can't gather. You can't search for and gather stuff. You can't collect today. There's no trade. There's no buy or selling today. So God, and the reason why is because God did that. So we follow this as an example of what God did. God rested from his work, okay? But he didn't sleep. Rest only. So when we rest from work, we still got to be up. We still got to get up in the morning and come out here. We can't be lazy. All we doing is resting from work. So God rested from his work on the seventh day from all his work which he had made. Verse 3, and God blessed the Sabbath, the seventh day. He blessed it. He said, this day is a blessed day. I'm going to commemorate this day. This is a special day because this is the day I didn't create nothing. This is the day, it's a commemorate. And we get that from God. God made the first, whatever, a holiday or day to be commemorated or day to be to remember or the day for people to gather. God created that, which was the Shabbat, the Sabbath, the seventh day, right? He blessed it and sanctified it. To sanctify means to separate. He separated the seventh day from the first, second, third, fourth, fifth, and sixth day. What is done on the seventh day don't get done on these days. What get done on these days don't get done on the seventh day. The seventh day comes with restrictions, okay, that the other days don't have because God sanctified it. How you sanctify something? By dealing with different. I only use this for this. You made it separate now. So God separated those days. Okay? Any creation to be doing, God gonna do it. He's gonna do it on the sixth day. He's not gonna go against his own rule. Anything to be done is on the sixth day. That's why when the seventh day comes, it's this general strike, a total shutdown of everything. Okay? This is where the Sabbath comes from. This is the first, only, and original Sabbath. You have other Sabbaths, they are not of God. The Sabbath is on Saturday, today, now, which is the seventh day of the week, not the first day of the week. People have changed that because they don't want you serving the true and the living God. They got you going on Sundays, and when you go up in there, it's an idol. Don't even look like you. Let me tell you something. All the idols and all the deities that people worship, right? They were the same color. It's the people. This is a different thing where you had people serving an idol God that don't even look like you. Back then, you look like your God. The Hebrews, the Israelites, they look like their God. That's why we don't cut our hair. That's why we don't shave our beard. Because that's how God looked. God got a beard. God got locks. God wears a robe. That's why we're supposed to look like God. The Egyptians, you see how the Egyptians dress? Right? That's how their gods dress. That's how their gods look. And it's real easy to get caught up in their fashion. Yeah, me too. I said, wait a minute, well, I'm wearing something that I never wore before. I had to check myself. I never wore this. Why am I wearing it now? Gone. Because I serve another God if I wear this stuff. That's what I had to tell myself. I had to make myself believe that. And that's what you got to do with every one of God's commandments here. I can't do it for you. You can't do it for me. Okay? You have to do that for yourself. Everybody looked like their God. Okay? That's how it went. So everything that Most High God does, we have to do. He said, ye shall be holy, for I am holy. So these are the things we have to observe and do to be holy like him. So on the seventh day is the Sabbath now. He blessed it and sanctified it because that in it he rested from his work which God created and made. Okay? Now, we're going to go down to Abraham real quick. Noah. Genesis chapter 6. Sometimes you got to go back. You got to go back to the beginning. You always got to stay at the beginning. Because people are starting to change a lot of stuff up. And it got people not paying attention to what's really going on. Okay? Genesis chapter 6. I'm going to breeze through this real quick too. And it came to pass when men began to multiply on the face of the earth, when the earth started to get filled up with people, all right? And daughters were born unto them. You had more and more women now. More and more women being born now. He said the sons of God. Now the sons of God, right, can be twofold. Okay? The sons of God could be the angels and it could be man. We are the sons of God also. And there's times when God refers to man as the son of God, son of man. And there's times when he referred to the angels as the Elohim, the sons of God, because they're also the sons of God. Okay? But you tell me, after we read this, if we're talking about angels or men. Okay? It said that the sons of God saw the daughters of men, right? That they were fair. You know what fair means? They were bagging. They were bad. They were baddies. Okay? Wasn't no ugly woman back then. All right? He said they took them wives of all which they chose. Okay? And the Lord said, my spirit shall not always strive with man, that he is also flesh. Yet his days shall be 120 years. See, this is the result of that. He said the sons of God saw the daughters of men. Those are angels, all right, that saw the daughters of man. They said, yo, look at the humans, man. The men, they're getting human daughters. They have woman versions of the men. They look good. Not all the angels are big crew, a certain crew. Okay? And they took them wives of which they choose. You know what they did, right? They went down there, turned themselves. They were angels. Angels have a different, they don't even have an anatomy, man. They're made of different stuff. They're not made the way we're made. They don't have to eat. They don't have to drink. They don't perspire. They don't cry. They don't bleed. They don't have blood. They're different. The name of God is what keeps them alive. That's all I can say. And God said, my name is in them. Look, these guys came down and took the woman and had children. Angels, okay? Went into human beings, okay? And had children. When those children came out, they were not normal human beings like us. They weren't normal mankind like us. Okay? They were big. These guys grew. They came out small babies, but they grew. The guy's 5 years old. He's taller than me. Okay? 2 more years, he keeps growing. These guys growing because their fathers are angels. Okay? These guys had different stuff going on with them. They was able to do things that we couldn't do physically. All right? There were giants in the earth. Okay? And that's not metaphoric. There really were giants in the earth. Now, let's look at it. Look at some basketball players. Yao Ming, Shaq. We say those guys are giants, right? Nah. Those guys are midgets compared to the people. The Egyptians, the Israelites, the Babylonians, the humans were naturally tall. Okay? 13 to 18 to 20 feet tall on the regular. I read in certain archaeological books that Abraham was like 75 feet tall. And Abraham's full height, it said he was 75 feet tall. Yeah, me and my father, one day my father said, yo, man, I need you to check certain things out, because for them that have done certain things that they did in this book, they couldn't be the height we were. We had the average height of a man. Okay? The steps, one step is here, another step is up here. They had to be bigger. And these guys were born of angels. Their mothers were human. They call it hybrid. Two different species that coexist to make a child. So now, he said, and also, he said there were giants in those days, and after that, the sons of God came in to the daughters of men, and they bare children to them. The same became mighty men, which are of old, men of renown. See? This kept going on. And they bare children. So they became mighty men, which were of old, men of renown. These guys were famous. They were famous killers. That's what it means. Men of renown mean your name ring bells. Okay? That's what it means. It means your name ring bells. But these giants were not nice guys. All right? They were murderers. They went after man. They went after us. They hated us. Because it's a long story. Their fathers were angels. But for those angels to come and do that, that means they hate man. To take your daughter and go into her, make a whole other species now, and that child grow up and kill. They were killing their own families. They were killing mankind. Much evil, much blood was spilled. Verse 5, and God saw that the wickedness of man was great in the earth.
And that every imagination of the thoughts of his heart was only evil.
This is why God destroys man. This is why he allows destruction. This is why. He said, because when he looked at man, he looked at everybody in the world, he said, man, the wickedness of man is increased. Their wickedness has increased. It went up. Okay? He said, and every imagination of the thoughts of his heart, everybody's thoughts on the planet was wicked. And it was evil and wicked. Nobody was right. Let's think about this. There was a time on this world, this planet, where nobody was right. Nobody was asking about God. Nobody was seeking. Nobody knew. Nobody cared knew. God looked and said, man, this whole earth is wicked. This is not supposed to be the result of what was created. It went left. And who did that? The angels. Yeah, man, we already had sin in us from eating of the fruit of the tree of good and evil. But they came and did something different. Because while they came, they taught man things. They taught the woman things and secrets we ain't supposed to know today. Mm-hmm. And that's wherein the most abominations come from. That's wherein most religions, abominations, deities, okay, things that people do, lewd acts, all of that stuff come from what those angels came and taught man. Now man is going crazy with it. So God said everybody on the planet is evil. So guess what happens now? Tells you.
And they repented the Lord that he had made man on the earth. And they grieved him at his heart.
They hurt him. He was disappointed. That he said, man, if I made man, he repented. He said, man, he said, man, I should have even never did this. But look how it turned out. But he's God. Watch this, Tamshi.
The Lord said, I will destroy man, whom I have created from the face of the earth.
That's another attribute of God. You see, he creates and he destroys. He wound, he make alive. That's what a God does. He said, look, man, everybody's wicked, everybody's messed up. He said, I'm going to destroy man whom I created. He has the right to do that. Right or wrong? That's right. But why he let this happen? And why? He has the right. Who he said, I do this, and who will question me? Who's going to say anything with me? We're going to read about that. We're going to hear what God has to say after all the drama. Okay? Because it's not about me. It's not about you. It's not about my kid, your kid. It's not about us. God created man to serve him. And the reason why man don't serve God is because of what we're reading right now. This is why everything is crazy now. So, okay, I'm going to destroy everything, right? Both man and beast. Guess who's getting it too? The beast. The beast getting it. Whose house is this? Your house, man. I gave this all to you. And you're supposed to run it. You're supposed to serve me and run this thing in your serving me. I'll show you how to do it. But since you want to serve other things and do other things, I'm going to destroy your habitat. You ain't going to live in paradise. You're not going to have it easy. Everything goes. You know why? Because we abominated the beast. When man sinned as a whole before God, he messes everything up. The land where they sinned at, the land is against you. Who made that land? God. There's a certain way to live in that land. There's a certain way to live. These people, all these people in this city, Sodom and Gomorrah, they were all evil to the point where even the kids, he said the little ones, he said, okay, their time is up. He destroyed them. So God could bring back to life, reverse anything, at any given time he chooses. Nobody could question him. So he said, I will destroy man, who I created from the face of the earth, both man and beast, creeping things, fowls of the air, for it repented me that I made them. He said, but Noah found grace in the eyes of the Lord. God just said, I'm going to destroy man from off the face of the earth. When God destroys something, it's not coming back. But then he said, Noah found grace in his sight. He said, but man, out of everybody in this planet, you look at Noah, a man named Noah, all right? He wasn't wicked. He wasn't evil. And just because of that, the human race and mankind and all of its inhabitants, the animals and stuff, were saved by that man. Because it says so in the Apocrypha, in another book, in the book of Ezra. It said that everybody was saved. The world was saved through Noah. All right? Let me show you something. God just said, I'm going to destroy man from off the face of the planet. Everything going, right? He said, but. It said, but. What that mean? There's an exception. Right? Mm-hmm. And that's why God said, okay, I'm going to still destroy everything. But I'm going to save everybody through you. I'm going to save the generations to come through you. But these generations that's here now, everybody that's alive now, they got to go now. That's why he put Noah in that ark and preserved man for that. Everybody else died. These are the generations, he said, but Noah found grace in the eyes of the Lord. These are the generations of Noah. Noah was a just man and perfect in his generations, meaning in his lifetime, all the people that was alive while he was alive, he was better than all of them in this generation, in the planet. While he was alive, he was the only person that was just. He didn't do no wrong to nobody. He wouldn't do you wrong. He didn't do you filthy. He did nothing grimy. He did nothing underhand. And everything that God told Noah whatever it was, he did it. That's what made him a just and perfect. Noah was perfect. That's why God told Abraham, I want you to be perfect. He wasn't telling Abraham nothing new.
Right.
People downplay that word perfect. Oh man, but nobody's perfect. Everybody's sin. You know what perfect with God mean? You know what perfect with God mean? That you don't go back. That you don't go back. From what you learned, all this stuff I learned was wrong. I stop it, I don't go back. Now you're perfect with God. That's all it means. You're not going to walk a different way. No glow coming out of you. You're going to have God's attention. And He's going to show you and make you see things and understand things the rest of the world ain't going to get. So that you can save yourself and your seed. Who's your seed? Who's your seed? Your children. Your son. Your daughter. I don't know nobody that don't love their sons and daughters. And that's what's going to help them. They're going to get the chance to learn about God. And it goes on and on. That was the whole point of this. Okay? And Noah was perfect in his generation, and Noah walked with God. If you walk with God, it don't mean he was with God walking with him. Yo, what's up, man? What we kicking into? What we do? No, you walk, you know how me and you can walk together, and we don't have to be around each other. But we live the same. We agree. I agree to what you say, and I accept what you say. And you, whenever you drop it on me, I do it. You walk with God. You walk with God. If you wasn't in the physical, that's where you'd be. You're going to be in the realm of God, where the righteous at. And Noah walked with God, and Noah begat 3 sons. Noah had 3 sons. 3 sons. What are their names? Shem, Ham, and Japheth. 3 sons. Okay? He didn't have no more sons after this. 3 of them. That's what I was explaining to you the other day. Shem, Ham, and Japheth. And they didn't look alike either. They didn't look alike. Okay? Read.
And Noah begot 3 sons, Shem, Ham, and Japheth. The earth also was corrupt before God.
The whole earth was corrupt before God.
And the earth was filled with violence.
Besides being corrupt, it was filled with too much violence. It was too much violence. It was so much violence. God don't like all this violence. Unless he say in his kill him or do this or do that, nobody's supposed to be killing each other. There's too much violence going on. Too much blood spilling. And when an innocent person gets killed, right? The victim's blood cries to God. We don't hear it. God hear it. God told him, he said it. Abel, when Cain killed Abel, God said, yo, where your brother at? He said, I don't know. Am I my brother's keeper? Or am I supposed to, am I his keeper? Am I supposed to hold him down and watch and protect him everywhere he go? He said, man, what did you do, man? He said, the blood of your brother, the blood of your brother is crying out to me. At that moment that he was talking to Cain, God was talking to Cain, Abel's blood was crying to him. He said the blood of the innocents that are slain crying out to God for justice against their persecutors. You know what Abel was saying? He's crying out to God for justice against Cain. Oh, Most High, please do something to that dude. Get him, man. He killed me for no reason. He killed me for wrong. That's what God is hearing. Yeah. Yeah, that's how it goes. Tell you.
God looked upon the earth, and behold, it was corrupt, for all flesh had corrupted his ways upon the earth. And God said unto Noah, the end of all flesh is come before me, for the earth is filled with violence through them. And behold, I will destroy them with the earth. Make thee an ark of gopher wood. Rooms shalt thou make in the ark, and shalt pitch it within and without with pitch. And this is the fashion which thou shalt make it of. The length of the ark shall...
Okay, hold on. I'm going to read something right now. Go to chapter Genesis 15. Genesis 12. Genesis 12. Now I'm going to read something out of 10. It said, these are the generations of the sons of Noah. Now, I'm going to break down the sons of Noah real quick, okay? All right? Shem, Ham, and Japheth, 3 sons. Unto them were sons born after the flood. They made sons. They made children after the flood. The flood is over with. They came out the ark. It's just Noah, his wife, his 3 sons, and their wives. That's it. Tubal Cain did not get in that ship. But that's what they put in the movie. Nobody snuck in that ship. You couldn't sneak nobody in the ark. All right? Because it said God sealed it shut. After Noah went in and closed the door and he sealed it shut, it said God sealed it shut so that nothing could go out, nothing could come in. Let's make that clear. No other human being was in that ship. God destroyed everybody. There were no exceptions. The exceptions was Noah and his family. That's it. It said, the sons of Japheth. This is one of his sons called Japheth. Gomer, Magog, Madai, Javan, Tubal, Meshach, Tiras. The sons of Gomer, Ashkenaz, Ripha, Togar, all these guys, right? By these were the isles of the Gentiles divided in their lands, everyone after his tongue, after their families in their nations. Now, if you look up all the names of these guys that Japheth bore as sons, bore to, each individual son went a different geographical location on the planet. These sons inhabited what we call Europe. Japheth and his sons went to Europe. Okay? The ark, when the flood was subsided and God got rid of all the waters, the ark landed on top of Mount Ararat. Mount Ararat is in the land of Turkey. What would that be? Turkey? That's in Europe? That's where the ark, Noah's ark landed at. Okay? And when they got out of the ark, they split up from there. Japheth went north. Ashkenaz, that's where the Germans and the Russians come out of. If you take all these names later on, look it up on Google. Google will tell you where they went and where they lived at. Is what we call today the European nations. All the European nations come out of Japheth, out of that one man. Okay? Now we got Ham. People got a lot of things confused. Ham, okay? And you got to remember also, a couple of chapters before, Ham got cursed. His father cursed Ham. Really, he cursed his son, one of Ham's son, which was Canaan. Ham had a lot of sons, but this one specific son, his grandfather cursed him because of what his father did. The sons of Ham, which is Cush, Mitzrayim, Phut, and Canaan. He had 4 sons. Okay? One of them name is Canaan. This is where you get the Canaanites, the Hittites, the Perizzites, the Girgashites, the Archites, all these people, the Jebusites. They come from that one dude, Canaan. Now, Canaan was the one that was cursed. And now you see, if you read later on, Leviticus 18 will tell you how they lived. And that's why God told the children of Israel, when y'all get over there, don't follow them and don't live like them either. They were cursed people from the beginning. Mitzrayim. You know what Mitzrayim is? He's the father of the Egyptians. He's the father of the Libyans. He's the father of the Ethiopians. Everything North Africa come out of Mitzrayim. That's why Egypt was always called Mitzrayim in the book. Whenever they say Mitzrayim, he's talking about Egypt. Talking about Egypt. That was the name of their father, right? The sons of Cush, Seba, Havilah, Sabta, Rama, Saptika, Dodan, Rama, Sheba. All these guys are the fathers of the African nations in Africa. Okay? These are the fathers of the African nations. Okay? And Cush, he had one son called Nimrod. We all heard that name before. Nimrod. Nimrod, he began to be a mighty one in the earth. He was a hunter. Okay, we ain't gonna go into Nimrod right now. Okay? See? And the border of the Canaanites was from Sidon, as thou comest from Gerar. That's the land of Israel now. That's where they was before Israel got there. He said, these are the sons of Ham, okay, after their families, after their tongues, in their countries, in their nations. They all went into Africa. They started off in North Africa and went down. This is where you get the Nigerians, the Ugandans, okay, the Congolese, the Madagascars, all of them come from out of Ham. All black people don't come from one place. All right? All black people are not Israelites. Everybody black in the world is impossible for everybody to be an Israelite. When these are black nations we're reading about. Hamites, those are black nations, African nations. Okay? The nation of Israel wasn't even made yet. Abraham wasn't even born yet. 12 tribes ain't come here yet. We were the last nation to be built. We were the last ones. When we were slaves, everybody else had their own thing going on. We were the last ones to get an independent nation. Okay? He said, unto Shem also the father of the children of Eber. Now Shem, Elam, Asher, the Assyrians come out of Shem. The Assyrians, that's Asher. Arphaxad, Lud, Aram. Those are the Syrians, the Mesopotamians. They come out of Shem. All right? Babylonians come out of Shem. Persians, they come out of Shem. All right? They got mixed. The Persians, these are certain Shemites that went far to the tip of the Middle East, where you're just about to hit Russia and all that. And they got close and intermingled with those people. And they made a light-colored people called Persians. Okay? Elamites. All right? They all come out of Shem. They're all Shemites. All of these people that you need, Joktan, Sheleph, they're all Shemites. Now, the Shemites didn't go anywhere. They stayed in what we call today the Middle East. That is not Africa, and it is 3 different continents those 3 sons went into. One son went into Europe, one son stayed into the Middle East, which is called Asia. So you got Europe, Asia, and Africa. 3 different continents. Okay? Shem, their color, Shem's sons, his people, come dark to light to brown to dark brown to light brown. The Hamites, one color, black, real dark. They hardly grow hair. That was the characteristics of and his sons. That is the characteristics of Africans. The characteristics of the Europeans, very, very light. Light, so light, you call them the white man. Okay? With extra hair on their limbs. Okay? Because they have a different makeup. They have different anatomy. They have different chemical makeup in their body. So their stuff come up different. And to go along with the habits of where they're at. Where they're at. It's cold. They don't get too much heat. So everything is lighter. Hair gonna be lighter. That should, and that's anything about Shemites, Shem, anything to do with that. That's the source right there, not the dictionary. The dictionary is going to tell you a different meaning, and that has nothing to do with this. All right? The European went all the way up there, all the way up. It has nothing to do. So really, when you speak against certain people today, you know what you're doing? You're speaking anti-Yaphetism, because you are a Yapite. You're a Yapite. You are a Yaphet. We're speaking anti-Yaphetism, not anti-Semitism. Like the man said, how can I speak about Shemites and I'm one too? That makes sense. It makes sense. When you speak against certain people, it's not that, it's anti-Yaphetism. Because we just read all Europeans descend from the son of Noah, Yahweh. Now, we're going to go to Genesis chapter 13.
12.
No, 13.
And Abram went up out of Egypt, he and his wife, and all that he had, and Lot with him, into the south. And Abram was very rich in cattle and silver and in gold. And he went on his way, on his journey, from the south even to Bethel, unto the place where his tent had been at the beginning, between Bethel and Hai, unto the place of the altar which he had made there at the first.
15. Now that we got all that stuff in the beginning out the way, now you're going to hear, this is the origin of where the Israelites come from. Okay? This is the origin of the Israelites now. Okay? And it comes after a man, it started with a man named Abram. He was born in Babylon. Okay? He wasn't born in Hebrew, he wasn't born knowing nothing about God. At that time, the whole world was not serving, nobody was serving God. Everybody was doing them, like today. Okay? Tavshi?
After these things, the word of the Lord came unto Abraham in the vision, saying, Fear not, Abram, I am thy shield and thy exceeding great reward.
He said, fear not, don't be afraid of anything. I got you. Wherever you go, I'm going to be with you. The reason why he's telling him fear not, because he told Abram, he said, look, you got to leave from where you at in Babylon, and you got to walk amongst the same Canaanites that we were just reading about, the sons of Ham. You're going to be in their land, in their area, in their territory. You're going to be in their hood. Okay? And that's a dangerous thing for an outsider to be in the wrong hood, right or wrong. It's the same thing back then. So he said, fear not, I'm going to be with you. I'm your shield, and I'm your great reward. Tamshi.
And Abram said, Lord God, what wilt thou give me, saying I go childless? And the steward of my house is Eleazar of Damascus. Abram said, behold.
See, Abraham asked that question because he knows that he has to have a son that came from him biologically for certain things to go down. He said, really alone, if I die, the guy that I took as my son, I adopted him. Eleazar of Damascus, this is my number one dude. He said, this is the only one I got, it's my hair. Like when I die, this is the only person I got to live. I don't have no son. He said, I'm childless. So she.
And behold, the word of the Lord came unto him, saying, This shall not be thine heir, but he that shall come forth out of thine own bowels shall be thine heir.
For certain things, he said, look, man, you ain't got to worry about this. For this, you're going to have your own son for this to go there. You ain't got to worry about that. He said, and he brought him forth abroad and said, look now toward heaven and tell the stars if thou be able to number them. He said, look, he brought them out. It was nighttime. So the stars is out. Billions and billions of stars out there. You can't count them. You lose count once you hit the 5. Once you 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Wait, did I count that one? You're gonna forget. You're not gonna be able to count it. It's too much. He asked Abraham, "Can you count them?" He said, "Nah, this is too much to count." Okay. He said, "Tell the stars if thou be able to number them." And he said unto him, "So shall thy seed be." Your seed, your children is going to be the same way. And he believed in the Lord, and he counted it to him for righteousness. What you believe is what's going to move you. Whatever you believe is what you're going to work towards. Whatever you believe is what you're going to accept. See, Abraham believed everything God told him. And look, he's an old man. His wife is an old man. His wife is an old woman. He don't have no other woman. It's just them two. She's beyond the a woman get a certain age, they don't have menstruation cycle no more. All that stop. Because that has to do with making babies. To the point in time where all that stopped. That's why they said, "Well, how this gonna happen? I ain't got no child. We ain't made no babies." Sarah can't have a baby. Her womb is barren. When a woman's womb is barren, meaning she can't get pregnant. I don't care how many times you try. She can't get pregnant. So how is this gonna happen? See, this is one of the miracles and the wonders that God does with his servants and his righteous to prove that he is God. That's why I say certain things is only for me to see. Okay?
And he believed in the Lord, and he counted it to him for righteousness. And he said unto him, "I'm the Lord that brought thee out of Ur of the Chaldees, to give thee this land to inherit."
To give you this land,
And he said, "Lord God, whereby shall I know that I shall inherit it?" And he said unto him, "Take me an heifer of 3 years old, and a she-goat of 3 years old."
He said, "How am I going to know?" He said, "Because by the time my kids inherit this stuff, I'm going to be dead. It's going to be thousands of years. How am I going to know?"
And he said unto him, "Take me an heifer of 3 years old, and a she-goat of 3 years old, and a ram of 3 years old, and a turtle dove, and a young pigeon." And he took unto him all these, and divided them and laid each piece one against another. But the birds divided he not. And when the fowls came down upon the carcasses, Abram drove them away. And when the sun was gone down, a deep sleep fell upon Abram, and lo, a horror of great darkness fell upon him. And he said unto Abraham, "Know of surety that thy seed shall be a stranger in the land that is not theirs, and shall serve them, and they shall afflict them 400 years. And also that nation whom they shall serve will I judge. And afterwards shall they come out of great substance, and thou shalt go to thy fathers in peace."
See, that's the sign. He said, "How am I going to know?" So he said, "You know what? Take these things and sacrifice them." He said, "And then I'm going to put you to sleep." And he's going to show him in a dream the future. God showed Abraham the children of Israel in Egypt 400 years later. He showed him the future and how he going to get them out. He showed him Moses and Aaron and getting them out of Egypt and bringing them into the land that he promised him right now. And that was, he said, "I'm going to show you right now. This is the sign right there." Boom, that was it. He showed him the whole thing. He said, now you good. You can go and die and be in peace, knowing that your children going to get this land that you're walking on now. Now, the children that came from him, Abraham had Isaac. Isaac had Jacob. Jacob had 12 sons. And now those 12 sons spread, and became the nation of Israel. All right? With that, hope you got what was brought, what is to be brought for the rest of the day. Shalom Aleichem.
Shalom Aleichem.
We looked at those.